Chapter 38-32. After thinking about the purple copper coffin for a while, he still had no clue. Lu Ming shook his head and threw this question out of his mind. Since he couldn't figure it out, he couldn't be bothered to think about it. Let's talk about it after my cultivation has increased. At the very least, the danger just now has been resolved, right? Furthermore, Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through in one go. Lu Ming felt his body and felt that it was filled with powerful energy. It was as if his entire body had endless power, and every move he made could shatter the void. This time, it was truly a blessing in disguise. His cultivation had stepped into the 8th level of the Divine Lord realm, and Lu Ming's battle prowess had increased by a large amount. Previously, when he was facing Ling Yue alone, he was still a little uncertain in his heart. Now he was much more confident. However, just now, the potential stored in my cells was used up all of a sudden. I need to continue replenishing it. Thinking of this, Lu Ming was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he took out a bone pearl and began to absorb it. In any case, this kind of bone pearl's energy was very pure, and the speed at which it was absorbed and refined was very fast. In 2 days, Lu Ming had refined 2 bone pearls. However, as his cultivation increased, the amount of potential that could be stored in his cells increased. The 2 bone pearls only stored 50% of his potential. 50% of his potential was enough for the time being. Lu Ming did not continue refining and ended his cultivation. He walked around the cave, but unfortunately, he did not find anything, so Lu Ming left. When Lu Ming returned to the location of the blood god fruit, he did not find any traces of Ling Yue. Could it be that Ling Yue went to deal with Xueqi alone? Lu Ming revealed a pondering expression. He did not suspect that it was Ling Yue's scheme that he was swallowed by the python earlier. Ling Yue most likely did not know about it, because using that python to kill Lu Ming would not benefit Ling Yue in the slightest. Lu Ming had 2 pieces of Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments on him. Without Lu Ming's Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments, how was Ling Yue going to find the treasures of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court? Lu Ming reckoned that Ling Yue probably didn't know either. Lu Ming walked out of the valley. What surprised Lu Ming was that as soon as Lu Ming left the valley, he saw a figure. It was Ling Yue. "Muyun, you're fine." Seeing Lu Ming, Ling Yue revealed a happy expression and hurriedly flew over. "What? Why are you so concerned about me? Don't tell me you've fallen for me?" Lu Ming joked. After saying that, Lu Ming wanted to slap his own mouth. His mouth couldn't help but spout nonsense. "What are you talking about? I'm just worried about the fragments of the natal spirit stone. Don't overthink it." Ling Yue rolled her eyes at Lu Ming and snorted coldly. "That's great," Lu Ming hurriedly said. "What do you mean by this?" Ling Yue glared. "Nothing. By the way, how did you get the information about the blood god fruit tree?" Lu Ming hurriedly changed the topic. "Naturally, I sent someone to inquire about it," Ling Yue said. "Looks like someone is trying to scam you," Lu Ming said. "Mu Yun, what happened in the depths of your valley?" Ling Yue asked. "Inside, there is a terrifying existence." Lu Ming told her about the python in the depths of the valley. Of course, he skipped over the matter of the purple copper coffin. He only said that he escaped by luck. Ling Yue naturally didn't believe that it was because of luck, but she knew that this was Lu Ming's secret, so he didn't ask any further. Ling Yue's face darkened. Indeed, someone was trying to scam her. How could the person who knew about the blood god fruit tree not know that there was a terrifying existence in the depths of the valley? Since he knew, why didn't he tell her? If Lu Ming wasn't here this time and she was here alone, the consequences would be unimaginable. Humph, looks like someone beside me has a change of heart. It looks like I have to go back and tidy things up. Ling Yue said coldly, a cold light flashing in her eyes. Lu Ming didn't say anything more. This was Ling Yue's private matter. As for how Ling Yue would reorganize it in the future, he couldn't be bothered to care. This time, their goal had been achieved. The blood god fruit tree had been obtained. The next step was to transplant it and lure Xueqi over. Immediately, they left the blood shadow demonic land and headed towards the lost land of panicked gods. More than 10 days later, they arrived at the periphery of the lost land of panicked gods. The lost land of panicked gods was actually a galaxy. In the distant past, it was the core territory of a powerful force. However, this force was destroyed later on, but their territory was left behind. This galaxy had an extremely powerful array formation. Even after a long time had passed, its power was still astonishing, preventing existences above the Divine Emperor realm from entering. If an existence above the Divine Emperor realm entered, it would affect the entire formation and attack it. Those below the Divine Emperor realm wouldn't. This was the best place to deal with Xueqi. The two of them flashed and entered the lost land of panicked gods. After a period of time, the two of them stopped on a planet. Let's do it here. This place has already experienced a great battle, and the blood of experts has been spilled here. The blood energy is rich, and it's just right to transplant the blood god fruit tree. Ling Yue said. Lu Ming nodded. Naturally, he had no objections. Next, Ling Yue moved and removed the blood god fruit tree from the jade bottle. Then, she removed the seal and planted it in a basin with rich blood energy. Then they took out a jade talisman and recorded the route to this place, forming a map of the stars. Which one of us will reveal the news to Xueqi? Ling Yue said. I'll go. Lu Ming said. Ling Yue nodded and handed the jade talisman to Lu Ming. The two of them divided the work. Lu Ming went to leak the news, while Ling Yue guarded this place. Lu Ming didn't stop. He left the lost land of panicked gods and headed towards the territory of the blood demon race. Blood Sky Star was a relatively famous planet in the territory of the blood demon race. It was rich in divine energy and was very prosperous. Most importantly, this planet was under the control of Xueqi. Ling Yue had long since inquired about Xueqi's background. The news of the blood god fruit naturally had to be leaked to Xueqi's direct subordinates. This way, it could reach Xueqi as quickly as possible. Lu Ming walked into the largest shop on Blood Sky Star. This shop was definitely opened by a direct descendant of Xueqi. Young master, may I ask what I can help you with? A young woman in a blood-red robe walked over. Lu Ming scanned with his spiritual sense and could tell that this young woman was at the Divine Lord realm. He couldn't help but sigh. The blood demon race was indeed a large race. They were powerful. Even an ordinary shop assistant had a Divine Lord realm cultivation. I'm here to sell something. Sell a piece of information. Lu Ming said. Sell a piece of information? The young woman was slightly stunned. There were many people who came to buy treasures or sell treasures, but this was the first time she had heard of someone who came to sell information. I'm sorry, young master. We don't buy information here, the young woman said. Don't be in a hurry to refuse. Xueqi will definitely be very interested in this news of mine, Lu Ming said with a smile. Chapter 38-33. Lu Ming smiled and sent a telepathic message to the young salesgirl. It's about the blood god fruit. Do you want to buy it? The young salesgirl's body trembled and her eyes lit up. She was also a practitioner of the blood Tao, so she naturally knew how important the blood god fruit was to a practitioner of the blood Tao. However, the blood god fruit was too rare and could not be bought even if one had the money. At the same time, she also knew that her master, Xueqi, cultivated the blood demon divine body and also desired the blood god fruit. If Xueqi knew about the blood god fruit, he would buy it at all costs. If she knew about the blood god fruit, she would be heavily rewarded by Xueqi and her status would soar in the future. Thinking of this, the young salesgirl was so excited that her body trembled. Young master, this is a big deal. Please wait for a moment. I'll ask the steward to discuss it with you. The young salesgirl said. Go ahead. Lu Ming smiled. The young salesgirl hurriedly left. Not long after, the young salesgirl came back with two people. One was a white-haired skinny old man and the other was a chubby middle-aged man. Young master, these two are our stewards, Steward Lu and Steward Li. The young salesgirl pointed at Lu Ming and introduced them. Young master, you said that you have news about the blood god fruit? Steward Lu, the white-haired skinny old man, sent a telepathic message to Lu Ming. The blood god fruit was too important and could not be spread. Otherwise, it would cause a stir. However, his voice was also trembling slightly, revealing the excitement in his heart. That's right. Lu Ming nodded. Let's talk inside. Steward Lu gestured. After a while, Lu Ming, Steward Lu, and Steward Li were in a guest room. Young master, how should I address you? Steward Li asked with a warm smile on his chubby face. My surname is Mu. Lu Ming said. Young Master Mu. Young Master Mu, is it true that you have news about the blood god fruit? Steward Li asked as he looked at Lu Ming expectantly. It's absolutely true. I swear it with the very essence of life. Lu Ming said. He immediately swore an oath with the origin of life, stating that the information about the blood god fruits was true. Manager Li and Manager Lu's eyes lit up even more. Since he dared to swear on his life source, it was most likely true. Young Master Mu, you said that you want to sell this piece of information. Why don't you name a price? Manager Li continued. I don't need treasures, nor do I need divine crystals. I need secret techniques. Lu Ming stated his purpose. This was the reason why he had leaked the information about the blood god fruit. Rather than letting the news leak out for nothing, it would be better to make the best use of it and maximize its value. You need a secret technique? Steward Li and Steward Lu were startled. It was rare to see someone selling secret techniques. What secret technique do you need? Steward Lu asked. Lu Ming took out a jade talisman and said, This jade talisman records the names of 550 secret techniques. I don't need any of these 550 secret techniques. Apart from these 550, any other secret technique will do. I need 150 of them. The 550 secret techniques in the jade talisman were all mastered by Lu Ming. If he wanted to trade for secret techniques, of course he would need those that he didn't have. 150 secret techniques. Steward Lu and Manager Li were shocked. They were very curious. Why would Lu Ming need so many secret techniques? However, this was Lu Ming's secret, so they were too embarrassed to ask. The two took the jade talisman and looked at it carefully. After looking at it for a while, the two of them revealed awkward expressions. Young Master Mu, to be honest, apart from these 550 secret techniques, it's not that easy to get the other 150. It will take a long time. Steward Lu was a little embarrassed. It wasn't difficult for them to take out 150 ordinary secret techniques. The difficult part was that many of them were the same as Lu Ming's. How long will it take? Lu Ming asked. 3 months. Steward Lu and Manager Li discussed for a while and gave an answer. All right, I'll wait for 3 months. I'll be back in 3 months. Lu Ming said as he stood up and brought his fists together and left in big strides. After watching Lu Ming leave, Steward Lu and Manager Li exchanged glances and fell into deep thought. This guy has information about the blood god fruit. If young Master Xueqi knows about it, he will be overjoyed and we'll all be rewarded. However, it's not easy to get 150 secret techniques. Do you think we should send someone to deal with this guy secretly and get the information about the blood god fruit? Steward Lu said as his small eyes flickered with coldness. That's not right. Manager Li said. His chubby face shone with a wise light. If this guy dares to come alone, he must have some confidence. He most likely has a backup plan. Even if we make a move, we might not be able to get the information about the blood god fruit. In addition, this guy most likely has someone to help him. If we kill him, his companions will definitely guess that we did it. Once the news is leaked, it will greatly affect our reputation. Who will dare to do business with us in the future? Because 150 secret techniques are not worth the loss. Manager Li continued. Hearing this, Manager Li nodded silently and said, That makes sense. Then we'd better prepare 150 secret techniques as soon as possible. Lu Ming naturally didn't know about the conversation between Manager Li and Manager Lu. He had left the Blood Sky Star long ago and kept changing his position along the way. Then he came to a remote planet. Lu Ming sent a message to Ling Yue and asked her to wait for a few months. Then, he began to cultivate in seclusion. Lu Ming didn't want to waste 3 months and began to cultivate the great art of fragmentation. If he could successfully cultivate the great art of fragmentation, his battle strength would undoubtedly rise to another level. The difficulty of cultivating the 3,000 ancient secret techniques was extremely high. Lu Ming had some experience with the Great Divine Wind technique, but it was still very difficult for him to cultivate it. For the next few days, Lu Ming still couldn't find any way to do it. Time passed day by day. 10 days, 20 days, 1 month. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. After spending 3 months, Lu Ming finally got a feel for it. Bang! Lu Ming's palm landed on a black iron stone the size of a water jar. The black iron stone didn't move at all. When Lu Ming moved his palm away, with a kachub sound, the black iron stone fragments turned into fist-sized small stones. They were very neat and were the same size. I'm still far from being able to enter the sect. Lu Ming sighed. Although he had grasped the basics of the great art of fragmentation, he was still far from being able to enter the sect. If he had entered the sect with a single palm strike, the black iron stone would not have shattered into fist-sized stones, but into ashes. However, even if he had only grasped the basics, combined with Lu Ming's attack, he could still slightly increase his attack power. Chapter 38-34. In 3 months, Lu Ming had only grasped a little bit of it and was not very satisfied. If 9 Silkworm Prince knew about his thoughts, he would probably be angered to death. 9 Silkworm Prince thought that he was a genius, but it took him 10,000 years to cultivate the great art of shattering. Even if he only grasped a little bit of it, it took him 1,000 years. Compared to Lu Ming's 3 months, it was a far cry. At this time, Lu Ming finished his cultivation and returned to the Blood Sky Star. He met Steward Lu and Steward Li again. Young Master Mu, the 150 kinds of Blood God fruit you want are here. What about your information about the Blood God fruit? You can tell me now. A jade talisman appeared in Steward Li's hand. With a wave of his hand, the jade talisman flew to Lu Ming. Lu Ming reached out to take it and scanned it with his spiritual consciousness. Sure enough, there were 150 kinds of secret skills recorded in the jade talisman, which he had not cultivated before. Lu Ming was delighted. He took out the map of the Blood God fruit tree and handed it to Steward Li. The map to the Blood God fruit is in this jade talisman. Lu Ming handed the map to Steward Li. Steward Li and Steward Lu took the jade talisman and looked at it. In the panicked god ruins? Both of their expressions changed slightly. They had heard of the panicked god ruins. No one above the Divine Emperor realm could enter there, or they would be attacked by the formation there. Yes, it's in the panicked god ruins. I saw it by accident. But the Blood God fruit is not very useful to me, and I can't pick it, so I recorded the specific location to maximize the profit. Lu Ming said. Haha, young Master Mu is really good at doing business. Steward Li smiled. They believed Lu Ming's words. Indeed, the Blood God fruit was very useful to those who cultivated the Blood Dao. However, to others, it wasn't very useful. Furthermore, once it was plucked, its medicinal effects would quickly dissipate. Instead, it was more valuable to record its location and sell it for information. That was why Steward Li said that Lu Ming was good at doing business. Well, the deal is done. I'll take my leave. Lu Ming cupped his fists and left the place. After leaving the Blood Sky Star, he changed several directions and headed towards the panicked god remnant land. After Lu Ming left, Steward Li and Steward Lu started discussing. There's no time to lose. We have to inform Child Xueqi about the Blood Divine fruit immediately. Old Lu, you stay here and take charge. I'll send the map to Child Xueqi. Manager Li said as a crafty glint flashed across the depths of his eyes. Whoever delivered the message would definitely gain Xueqing's favor and gain more benefits. This, Steward Lu pondered. Don't worry, this credit was earned by both of us. I won't take it all for myself. Old Lu, you can trust me, right? Manager Li purposely said with a straight face. Of course I trust you. All right, let's do it this way. I'll stay here while you deliver the map. Steward Lu said. All right, haha, I'll set off right away. Manager Li was overjoyed. He quickly got up and left to deliver the news to Xueqi Tong. Hee hee. Watching Steward Li leave, Steward Lu let out 2 sneers. Even if I send the news to Xueqi, how much reward can I get? I might as well sell this news. I believe many people will like it. Greed flashed in Steward Lu's eyes as he took out the Dream Jade and sent out a few messages. Lu Ming returned to the panicked god remnant land, met up with Ling Yue, and waited. The two of them hid in the shadows of the panicked god remnant land and quietly observed. A few days later, a group of figures suddenly sped over from afar and stopped outside the panicked god remnant land. There were a total of 9 people. The leader was a young woman, and behind her were 8 people. There were middle-aged men and old men. These people were all quasi-emperors. It's not Xueqi. Ling Yue whispered. Lu Ming also frowned. Instead of Xueqi, other people came. However, judging from their clothes, they should be from the blood demon race. Could it be that these people came to the panicked god remnant land to seek treasures? After all, the panicked god remnant land was also left behind by a large force. It was normal for some treasures to be left behind. Usually, it would attract many people to take the risk to seek treasures. Swoosh, swoosh. Suddenly, figures flew over from another direction. These figures were all enveloped in a bloody light. When the bloody light faded, figures appeared one after another. These people were clearly divided into several groups. The leaders were all young men and women. Their cultivations were very high, and the people they brought were all quasi-emperors. Several groups of people sized each other up. Their auras collided, and cold killing intent spread out. Bloodguard, you are also here for the blood god fruit. The woman who first appeared stared at a young man with an unfriendly expression. It seems that you are also here for the blood god fruit. That old man clearly said that he would only sell the news to me. Damn it, how dare he lie to me? A young man shouted angrily. That old man also said that he would only sell it to me. The others also spoke, their expressions ugly. They knew that they had been deceived. The person who sold the news to them didn't sell it to them alone, but to many people. In the distance, Lu Ming and Ling Yue were dumbfounded. They didn't expect that the news of the blood god fruit would be leaked. It didn't attract Xueqi, but another group of people. There's a traitor among Xueqing's subordinates. Lu Ming and Ling Yue came to this conclusion and could only be speechless. It was true that plans couldn't keep up with changes. Their plan was flawless, but they didn't expect that a traitor would appear among Xueqing's subordinates and leak the news of the blood god fruit. It must be those two stewards, Lu Ming thought to himself. Let's return to the blood god fruit tree first. Before Xueqi appears, we must not let these people obtain the blood god fruit. Ling Yue secretly transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. All right, let's go back. Lu Ming nodded and quietly left with Ling Yue. They returned to the planet where the blood god fruit tree was planted and hid near it. Not long after the two of them hid, streaks of bloody light rushed over from afar. There were at least 100 of them. There were more people. Lu Ming and Ling Yue were speechless. How many people did Xueqing's subordinate sell it to? Over 100 experts, divided into several groups, began to search this planet. This was only an ordinary planet. Compared to the Dragon Clan's mother planet, it was many times smaller. Moreover, those who cultivated the blood Dao were very sensitive to the blood god fruit. They quickly sensed the location of the blood god fruit. With a flash, over 100 people appeared in the area of the blood god fruit tree. Their gazes all fell on the blood god fruit tree and the blood god fruit on it. All of them revealed greedy looks. Some of them even started to breathe heavily. Chapter 38-35. It really is the blood god fruit. Haha, it really is the blood god fruit. Someone laughed ecstatically. Whoosh. Suddenly, there was a flash of crimson light. Someone attacked another group of people. However, that group of people was prepared and immediately counterattacked. The blood god fruit is mine. Go to hell. You're the one who will die. Kill. The scene was chaotic. Several groups of people were caught in a scuffle. Those young men were obviously the supreme talents of the blood demon tribe. They were very powerful and were locked in a fierce battle. Soon, more and more people were killed. In a few minutes, dozens of people had been killed. The remaining people fought even more fiercely. At this moment, another crimson light flew in from afar. The crimson light faded and revealed the faces of the people inside. The leader was a young man in a tight crimson robe. He held a crimson paper fan in his hand. This person appeared in the sky with a dozen or so old men. He looked down at the people fighting below with a mocking smile on his face. The people fighting below also saw him. It's Desolate Blood. He's here too. Many people exclaimed and their faces changed. Desolate Blood was an extremely terrifying supreme talent of the blood demon tribe. Although his cultivation was only at the quasi-emperor level, he could kill a divine emperor. He was somewhat famous among the quasi-emperor level supreme talents in the primitive universe. The people who were fighting stopped and stared at Desolation of Blood cautiously. The blood god fruit is mine. All of you get lost. Desolate Blood waved his hand casually as if he was shooing away a group of subordinates. Those who were fighting earlier had ugly looks on their faces. Desolate Blood, you want to take the blood god fruit for yourself. Your appetite is too big. A young woman said. That's right. We were here before you. Another young man spoke up. I said that I want the blood god fruit. You can get lost. If you don't, you can stay here forever. Desolate Blood said coldly with a ferocious look on his face. Desolate Blood, don't be too overbearing. There are so many of us. We may not be afraid of you. That's right. Let's join forces and defeat Desolate Blood first. It won't be too late to fight for the Blood God fruit later. At the beginning, those people were slowly approaching to join forces against Desolate Blood. There were no eternal enemies, only eternal benefits. Previously, they had killed each other because of the Blood God fruit. Now that they were facing a common enemy, they chose to work together. You overestimate yourselves. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. The malevolent expression on Desolation Blood's face intensified. His body emitted a dense blood-red glow as the paper fan in his hand emitted a clanging sound and slowly turned into a blood-red sword. Whoosh! With a flash of bloody light, Desolation of Blood attacked. He turned into a bloody shadow and attacked those people. Let's attack together. Some of the people from before roared in anger. Suddenly, dozens of quasi-emperors attacked together. Dozens of attacks were directed at Desolation of Blood. Dozens of people attacked together, and their power was extremely shocking. Everywhere they passed, the void was blasted into nothingness. However, Desolation of Blood's speed was extremely fast. He kept flashing and dodging the attacks as he quickly closed in on his opponent. When he got closer, the sword light suddenly exploded. Streaks of blood-red sword light shot out at an astonishing speed. Puff puff puff. In an instant, 12 quasi-emperors were slashed by the sword light. They didn't even have time to scream before they died. The terrifying thing was that those who were slashed by the blood-red light instantly shriveled up like mummies. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. After killing 12 quasi-emperors, Desolation of Blood's attacks didn't stop. The sword light continued to explode, and in the next moment, another 12 quasi-emperors were killed. The rest of the people were shocked. They didn't dare to stay any longer and quickly retreated. Desolation of Blood continued to attack. This time, he targeted those young Supreme Talents. There were a total of 5 young Supreme Talents. The 5 Supreme Talents roared and unleashed their full strength to fight Desolation of Blood. Clang, clang, boom, boom, boom. A series of explosions sounded. In the next moment, the 5 Supreme Talents retreated violently. Each of them had blood flowing out of their mouths. There was disbelief in everyone's eyes. The 5 of them were Supreme Talents. Otherwise, they wouldn't have reached the Quasi-Emperor realm at such a young age. However, the 5 of them still weren't a match for Desolation of Blood. You're the one who's clamoring the loudest. I'll send you on your way. Desolation of Blood's cold voice sounded. He then turned into a sword light and attacked a young man. The young man was shocked and frantically retreated. At the same time he shouted, "Come and help me." However, the other 4 Supreme Talents weren't going to help him. They all retreated and escaped with their subordinates. Compared to the Blood God fruit, their lives were more important. Ah, Desolation of Blood. We're both from the Blood Demon tribe. You can't kill me. The young man screamed in despair. However, Desolation of Blood ignored him and continued to attack. The sky was filled with blood-red sword light. Puff. In the end, the young man couldn't avoid the sword light and was pierced between his eyebrows. His body quickly shriveled up and his eyes were filled with despair. In just a few breaths, the young man had become a dried corpse and his life force had been extinguished. On the other hand, Desolation of Blood's body flashed with a strange red light. His aura had become stronger. Ha ha ha, the Blood God fruit is mine. With the Blood God fruit, I'll be able to break through to the Divine Emperor realm. Desolation of Blood's eyes flashed with a fiery radiance. The Divine Emperor realm was a hurdle that wasn't easy to cross. The number of quasi-emperors in the Eldritch universe was shocking. Many of them were stuck at the quasi-emperor realm and couldn't break through. Even many Supreme Talents were stuck at the quasi-emperor realm for a long time. Some Supreme Talents couldn't break through for the rest of their lives. Once they broke through, their lifespan and combat strength would be greatly increased. Desolation of Blood had been stuck at the Quasi-Emperor realm for a long time. Only when he stepped into the Divine Emperor realm in the Eldritch universe could he be considered as one of the Supreme Talents. Only then would he be able to interact with the Supreme Talents of the Eldritch universe. Desolation of Blood revealed a greedy look and strode towards the Blood God fruit. "Looks like we'll have to take action," Lu Ming said. Xueqi hadn't arrived yet and the Blood God fruit naturally couldn't fall into Desolation of Blood's hands. "Are you going to take action or should I?" Ling Yue said. "Xueqi hasn't arrived yet. I'll take action." It won't be too late for you to take action when Xueqi arrives, Lu Ming said. After the two finished their discussion, Lu Ming was about to take action. However, his eyes suddenly looked in another direction. There was a blood-red light coming from that direction. In the blink of an eye, it had arrived. The blood-red light faded and revealed a beautiful woman. This woman was very enchanting. She wore a blood-red phoenix robe and looked graceful. I can't give you the blood god fruit. The beautiful woman smiled and her voice was very pleasant. Chapter 38-36. Hee. Desolate Blood sneered and looked at the lady. Beauty, I won't kill you since you look pretty good. Get lost. Shameless boasting. Do you think you're my opponent? The young lady was very confident. After saying that, her body changed rapidly and turned into a blood-red phoenix. This was the lady's original body. A blood-red phoenix. She wasn't an expert of the Blood Demon clan. Lu Ming and Ling Yue were speechless. How could an expert outside of the Blood Demon clan be attracted to this place? Blood-red phoenix. Desolate Blood's face changed. The Phoenix clan was a terrifying clan in the primitive universe. It was said that countless years ago, it was a clan that was on par with the Divine Dragon clan. However, something happened later on, causing their strength to weaken. But now, they were still ranked 19th on the primitive 10,000 clan board. Now, are you going to get lost or should I? The blood-red phoenix said in a cold voice. Humph. So what if you're a blood-red phoenix? Do you think I'm afraid of you? Desolate Blood wasn't willing to leave just like that. The blood god fruit was too useful to him. So what if his opponent was a blood-red phoenix? He wasn't necessarily strong just because he came from a big clan. He was very confident in himself. Stubborn. The blood-red phoenix snorted and flapped its wings. A layer of flames jumped around its body. This layer of flames was blood-red like fresh blood. A terrifyingly high temperature filled the air. Boom! The blood-red phoenix flapped its wings and a terrifying aura burst out. The void exploded continuously. Then, blood-red flames rushed towards Desolation of Blood like huge waves. Desolate Blood didn't dare to be careless in the face of the blood-red phoenix's attack. He let out a long cry and his blood chi exploded. A huge blood-red sword light slashed towards the void. Wherever it passed, the void was split in half. Boom! The sword light and the blood-red flames collided and exploded. Shoo! 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 Streaks of blood-red sword chi and blood-red flames burst out in all directions. At this moment, Desolate Blood sword light suddenly changed direction and charged towards the blood-red phoenix. Its speed was shocking. However, the blood phoenix's speed was even more shocking. With a flap of its wings, it disappeared from where it was. In the next moment, it appeared in front of the Blood Desolation Divine Spear. Its wings were like divine blades, slashing towards the Blood Desolation. With a clang, the two of them collided again. This time, Desolation of Blood's body trembled and retreated. In the second collision, Desolation of Blood was at a disadvantage. The Blood Phoenix launched an intense attack. The two of them exchanged more than 10 blows. Desolation of Blood was no match for the Blood Phoenix. Bang! In the end, Desolation of Blood was hit by one of the Blood Phoenix's wings. His body almost exploded as he retreated. Remember this, let's go! Desolate Blood roared and flew into the distance. He didn't dare to stay any longer. He brought some of his subordinates with him and left in a flash. With Desolation's retreat, the Blood Phoenix was the only one left. Blood God Fruit. The Blood Phoenix looked at the Blood God Fruit. Without any hesitation, it flapped its wings and pounced toward the Blood God Fruit. It opened its mouth and was about to swallow it. However, at this moment, a young man suddenly appeared in front of her. This young man was naturally Lu Ming. The Blood God Fruit isn't something that you can take. Back off. Lu Ming said. You want to stop me? Let's see if you have the ability. The Blood Phoenix shouted coldly. With a flap of its wings, two blood-red light blades slashed toward Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming brandished his fist and threw a punch. The void exploded. With a destructive force, it bombarded the two blood-colored light blades. The blood-red light blades vibrated and exploded. The Blood Phoenix's eyes narrowed. She was very clear about how powerful her move earlier was. However, it was actually defeated by Lu Ming's punch. Moreover, Lu Ming was clearly only an 8th-level Divine Lord. I don't believe that an 8th level divine lord can be strong. The blood phoenix was furious. It flapped its wings and slashed at Lu Ming like a storm. Lu Ming punched out and collided with the blood phoenix's wings. Bam bam. After a few explosions, the blood phoenix's figure retreated quickly. She felt an intense pain from her wings and her bones were about to shatter. Damn it! The blood phoenix was furious. A few feathers from her tail flew out. These were phoenix feathers. There were a total of 8 of them. They were like 8 sharp swords that stabbed toward Lu Ming. The power was terrifying. However, Lu Ming's current cultivation had reached the 8th level divine lord. His combat strength was shocking. A casual attack could erupt with terrifying power. Lu Ming only punched out. The terrifying fist force was like a stormy sea that swept everything. The attack formed by the 8 phoenix feathers was directly sent flying. With a swoosh, Lu Ming's figure landed on the blood phoenix's back. Get down, get down! The blood phoenix roared and struggled crazily. She was actually being ridden on Lu Ming's back. This was a great humiliation. Flames erupted all over her body, wanting to burn Lu Ming to death. However, Lu Ming had a forbidden body. How could she burn him? She was no threat to Lu Ming at all. Since you like to attack with feathers, I'll pluck all your feathers. Lu Ming sneered. He reached out and grabbed a handful of feathers from the blood phoenix's back and plucked them out. You deserve to die. The blood phoenix screamed crazily. Phoenix feathers are good stuff. It's worth collecting. Continue. Lu Ming couldn't be bothered with the blood phoenix. He put away the feathers that he had plucked out just now and plucked another handful. Oh, stop it. Stop it. The blood phoenix roared. Lu Ming continued. Stop, I'll leave. I'll leave, okay? I don't want the blood god fruit anymore, okay? The blood phoenix screamed and then flew away. Seeing that the blood phoenix had left, Lu Ming left its back. The blood phoenix flew into the distance and stopped. It glared at Lu Ming and said, Brat, I will remember you. After saying that, it left in a flash. Lu Ming smiled faintly and ignored it. He returned to Ling Yue's side. He's here. It should be Xue Ming. Ling Yue suddenly said and looked up at the sky. In the starry sky, a blood-red cloud was rolling towards them. Even though they were far away, they could still feel the terrifying aura. Xue Ming usually doesn't use his main body when he just appears. It's most likely his clone. Wait a moment, I'll lure his clone away. Ling Yue said. The reason why Ling Yue was the one who made the move was because Ling Yue could seal the aura of her soul fragment, but Lu Ming couldn't. Once he went out, he would be sensed by the other party. Only when Xue Ming's main body came out would Lu Ming be able to make his move. The blood cloud in the starry sky was extremely fast. It shook the entire starry sky and caused it to explode. On this planet, the people who had just escaped, including Xue Huang, all sensed it. Their expressions changed drastically. It's Xue Ming. Xue Ming is here too. Chapter 38-37. Someone from the blood demon race exclaimed and then sighed. www.org. They knew that now that Xue Ming had arrived, they wouldn't get a share of the blood god fruit. Xue Ming was ranked 11th on the top 100 quasi-emperors list. Although the top 100 quasi-emperors list wasn't precious and there might be many geniuses missing, those who could be ranked were definitely terrifying. In the blink of an eye, Xue Ming entered the sky above the planet. As soon as Xue Ming arrived above the planet, he found the location of the blood god fruit. With a flash of bloody light, a burly figure appeared above the blood god fruit. This was Xue Ming. He was very burly and was more than 2 meters tall. He had a square face and a wide mouth. When he opened and closed his eyes, there was always a murderous aura. Bang! He stepped out very decisively and directly stepped toward the blood god fruit. But at this time, Ling Yue had already made her move. She turned into a ray of green light and flashed out, appearing in front of Xue Ming. Of course, Ling Yue had already changed her appearance, so Xue Ming couldn't recognize her. As for the aura of life origin, Xue Ming had never seen Ling Yue before, so he naturally didn't know about it. When Xue Ming saw someone appear, he frowned slightly and said, Elf race. The blood god fruit seems to be useless to the elf race, but you're here. Is this blood god fruit related to you? Xue Ming's mind was very sharp, and he immediately saw through the trick. Whether it's related to me or not, You can't take this blood god fruit away. Ling Yue said. In this pantheon ruins, divine emperors can't enter. There aren't many people in the world who can stop me. Are you confident? Xueming said. The murderous aura in his eyes grew stronger. How do you know if you don't try? Ling Yue said. Try. Then use your life as a test. Xueming shouted coldly. In the next moment, Xueming directly attacked. His entire body was enveloped by blood qi. With a terrifying aura, he charged toward Ling Yue. As soon as he attacked, the void collapsed. It was incomparably terrifying. This was Xueming's power. He was ranked 11th on the top 100 quasi-emperors list, much stronger than 9 Silkworm Prince. Such a person could easily kill ordinary divine emperors as easily as taking something out of his pocket. Bas! Ling Yue took out her bow and knocked an arrow. A few arrows flew out and collided with Xueming's attack, blocking it. To be able to block my attack, you have some strength, but you are still far from it. Xueming said coldly. His killing intent soared into the sky, and his blood energy exploded as he rapidly approached Ling Yue. However, Ling Yue naturally wouldn't let him get close. She quickly retreated, pulling away from Xueming as arrows continuously flew towards Xueming. A blood-red battle blade appeared in Xueming's hand. He continuously slashed out, sending Ling Yue's arrows flying. Is this really Xueming's clone? In the distance, Lu Ming was secretly watching. He was also secretly shocked. The battle prowess that Xueming had displayed was extremely terrifying. He was definitely stronger than the blood phoenix from before. Moreover, it looked no different from a normal life form. It was impossible to tell that it was a clone. Of course, Lu Ming could also tell that Ling Yue had not used her full strength. Ling Yue used her full strength, and her battle prowess was extremely astonishing. She was probably even stronger than Xueming's clone. However, Ling Yue's goal was to lure away this clone. Before Xueming's true body appeared, it was not advisable to reveal too much of her strength. If Xueming's true body was frightened and did not dare to appear, it would be troublesome. Therefore, Ling Yue fought with Xueming for a while, pretending to be at a disadvantage. Xueming, you're amazing. Ling Yue purposely said unwillingly, then turned around and left. You want to leave? Stay for me. Xueming roared angrily, his face filled with killing intent as he chased after Ling Yue. The two of them, one chasing and one fleeing, disappeared in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming did not move. He hid in the shadows and quietly waited. Sure enough, not long after, another figure appeared in the air. Another Xueming. This person, whether it was his figure, appearance or aura, was exactly the same as Xueming. However, it shouldn't be the one from before. If the one from before had escaped Ling Yue's control and returned to this place, Ling Yue would definitely send him a message. Moreover, this person had appeared from another direction. The new Xueming looked around like a hawk. Finally, his gaze landed on the blood god fruit. Then, he slowly stepped forward and walked toward the blood god fruit. Lu Ming's eyes flashed, but he still restrained himself and did not move. This was because he was not sure if this Xueming was Xueming's clone or his true body. He planned to continue probing. Xueming slowly walked toward the blood god fruit. Soon, he arrived beside it and reached out to grab it. However, just as he was about to grab the blood god fruit, he stopped. Then, he stretched out his hand and looked around again. A trace of doubt appeared on his face. Then, he looked up at the sky. The sky rippled like water. Then, a figure flashed and another Xueming appeared. The third Xueming. This Xueming stood in the sky and looked around. He snorted coldly and flew toward the blood god fruit. A bloody light swept up the blood god fruit and flew into his mouth. This is the true body. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. However, he did not make a move immediately. When Xueming started to refine the blood god fruit, it would be the best time to make a move. He sent a message to Ling Yue. After swallowing the blood god fruit, Xueming sat down cross-legged on the ground. His body was covered in a bloody light as he began to refine the fruit. At this moment, Lu Ming moved. His figure flashed and rushed toward Xueming like a phantom. As he rushed out, 3 gravity orbs flew out. The powerful gravity enveloped the two Xuemings. As the gravity enveloped them, Lu Ming threw out a punch. Lu Ming activated the battle character art for this punch, increasing his battle strength by 5 times. Boom! A huge fist energy pierced through the void and blasted toward Xueming's true body. Everything in the path of the fist energy was destroyed. However, Xueming's doppelganger reacted quickly. When Lu Ming made his move, he moved as well. His figure flashed and appeared in front of Lu Ming. A bloody light burst out and a bloody saber light slashed toward Lu Ming. It collided with Lu Ming's fist and exploded with a loud bang. However, Lu Ming did not continue to attack. Instead, his figure flashed and he went around Xueming's doppelganger and appeared on the other side of Xueming's true body. He had expected Xueming's doppelganger to stop him. He had no intention of fighting with Xueming's doppelganger. His target had always been Xueming's true body. Boom! Lu Ming threw out another punch. This time Lu Ming used the Great God Wind technique. Lu Ming punched out, wanting to take down Xueming in one fell swoop. However, at this moment, Xueming, who was refining the blood god fruit, suddenly opened his eyes. 2 scarlet saber lights shot out from his eyes and slashed toward Lu Ming. Chapter 38:38. 2 scarlet rays of light shot out from Xueming's eyes and slashed toward Lu Ming. www.org. At the same time, Xueming let out a long roar that sounded like thunder. The bloody light on his body surged and his blood qi burst forth. It turned into a bright bloody ray of light and slashed toward Lu Ming. Boom! 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 A few consecutive terrifying explosions erupted. The saber gleam that burst out from Xueming's eyes was defeated by Lu Ming in one move. In the end, it collided with the blood-colored saber gleam that Xueming slashed out. Dozens of energy waves erupted and surged in all directions. Whoosh! Lu Ming's body shook and he could not help but retreat. Xueming's blade light was also defeated. The powerful force also pushed Xueming back a few steps. Great God Wind skill. You are Mu Yun. Xueming steadied himself and his eyes flashed with bloody light. He looked at Lu Ming in shock. You guessed it. Lu Ming said lightly. Mu Yun, you are stronger than the rumors say. It seems that everyone has underestimated you. Xueming said coldly. As he spoke, his doppelganger silently circled behind Lu Ming. Together with Xueming himself, they blocked Lu Ming's path. You weren't refining the blood god fruit before? Lu Ming asked in return. If he had been refining the blood god fruit, he would not have reacted so quickly. Do you think I am so easily fooled? Why would the news of the blood god fruit come to me all of a sudden? You even sent it to my subordinates. The moment I heard about it, I knew it was a trap. Xueming sneered. www.org. But you still came. Lu Ming said. Since there is really a blood god fruit and it is in Panicked God's Forgotten Land, why wouldn't I come? I want to see who dares to trick me in Panicked God's Forgotten Land. Xueming said, his tone full of confidence. Yes, even though he knew there was a trap, he still came because this was the Panicked God's Forgotten Land. Godly emperors couldn't enter. Xueming was confident that there were only a handful of quasi-emperors in the primitive universe who were stronger than him, let alone those who could kill him. This was the source of his confidence. Now, I finally know why you schemed against me. You have fragments of a natal spirit stone. But what I find strange is that we have never met before. How did you know that I have fragments of a natal spirit stone? Xueming said. His blood-red eyes stared fixedly at Lu Ming, flickering with greed. Lu Ming wanted his shards of life spirit vitality stone. How could he not want Lu Ming's shards of life spirit vitality stone? Hand over the life spirit vitality stone fragment and I'll tell you. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Ha ha ha, do you think you can deal with me? Mu Yun, targeting me is the biggest mistake you've made. Xueming let out a long laugh as his aura became even more shocking. Boom. Raging blood qi soared into the sky. Xueming's entire body seemed to be enveloped in a layer of blood qi armor. A blood-red saber appeared in his hand. It was 2 meters long and filled with terrifying saber qi. At the same time, Xueming's avatar also raised his aura to the peak. Whoosh, whoosh. Xueming's main body and avatar moved at the same time. They waved their sabers and charged towards Lu Ming. The 2 sabers cut through the air and slashed towards Lu Ming. Wherever the saber light passed, heaven and earth roared and the void exploded. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Lu Ming raised his aura to the peak and fully displayed the Great God Wind technique. His entire body was wrapped in a layer of astral wind. His fists constantly punched out and fist prints filled the sky as he fought against Xueming. The starry sky shook as the two exchanged more than 10 blows. During the fierce battle, Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Xueming's strength was really terrifying. Lu Ming had used almost all his strength, but he was still only able to fight Xueming to a draw. One had to know that Lu Ming had already broken through to the 8th level Divine Lord realm. If Lu Ming was still at the 7th level Divine Lord realm, he would definitely not be Xueming's match. Xueming was only ranked 11th on the top 100 Quasi-Emperors list, but his combat strength was already so strong. How strong were the top 10 or even the top 3 monstrous geniuses? Perhaps there really was someone who could fight against him at the same level. The taboo physique was known as a taboo. It was synonymous with invincibility. However, it was not impossible to fight against it in the primitive universe. In fact, while Lu Ming was shocked, Xueming was even more shocked. He had never imagined that Mu Yun would be so strong that he could fight against him. No wonder he dared to steal his life spirit origin stone fragment. Kill! Xueming roared and his attacks became even more violent. The blood qi on his body became denser and denser. When it reached its peak, a figure suddenly rushed out from Xueming's main body. It was Xueming's avatar. Another avatar had appeared. After an intense fight, Lu Ming discovered that Xueming's avatar was slightly weaker than Xueming's main body. However, it was not much weaker. It had at least 80% of Xueming's main body's combat strength. This was extremely terrifying. If one avatar had 80% of Xueming's main body's combat strength, then what about several avatars? The combat strength of each avatar was at the peak of the Quasi-Emperors in the primitive universe. When multiple avatars joined forces, their power was extremely shocking. Now the two avatars and Xueming's main body had joined forces and launched a frenzied attack on Lu Ming. For a moment, even Lu Ming felt immense pressure. The two of them fought fiercely and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. At this moment, Xueming's main body suddenly shook and his aura became chaotic. Although Lu Ming was surprised, how could he miss such an opportunity? He ignored the attacks of the two avatars and attacked Xueming's main body with all his might. Although Xueming's main body reacted quickly, it was still a step too late and was hit by Lu Ming's fist. Bam! Xueming's main body was sent flying and he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, Lu Ming was also hit by Xueming's two avatars. 2 saber wounds appeared on his body and he was almost cut in half. Lu Ming was sent flying to the side. His cells were constantly using energy to heal his injuries. Whoosh! At this moment, a jade-green arrow shot towards Xueming's main body from afar. The arrow pierced through the void and was faster than lightning. Its power was terrifying. It crossed the long void in an instant and was aimed at Xueming's forehead. At this moment, Xueming had just been injured by Lu Ming. This arrow was so fast that Xueming could not dodge it. Block it! Xueming roared. The avatar closest to him immediately rushed out and pounced on the arrow. Bam! The arrow accurately hit the doppelganger. With a bang, the doppelganger exploded and dissipated into energy. The moment the avatar was destroyed, Xueming's main body shook violently and coughed up a mouthful of blood. Clearly, Xueming's main body was greatly affected by the destruction of his avatar. Not far away, a light flashed and Ling Yue appeared. Xueming's main body stared at Ling Yue and shouted, "You were the one who killed one of my avatars, right? Who are you? There aren't many quasi-emperors in the universe who can kill my avatar." Ling Yue did not reply. However, her appearance began to change. She had changed her appearance before. Now, she had returned to her original appearance. Chapter 38-39. Seeing Ling Yue's true appearance, Xueming's pupils suddenly widened as he exclaimed, "Elven Princess Ling Yue, it's you?" Although he had never seen Ling Yue in reality, he had seen her appearance in the Dream Jade before, so he naturally recognized her at a glance. "Org, it's me." Ling Yue nodded. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. It seemed that Ling Yue's Xueming clone had already been killed by Ling Yue, so when Xueming was fighting, his body suddenly trembled. That was the backlash from the death of his clone. "Ling Yue, I don't understand. Why did you come to kill me? Could it be that you're really married to Mu Yun?" Xueming asked. The universe was abuzz with rumors that Ling Yue was going to marry Mu Yun. Xueming thought that Ling Yue was here to help Lu Ming seize his life spirit origin stone fragment. I'm naturally here for your life spirit origin stone fragment. Ling Yue smiled. Xueming's pupils suddenly shrank as he said, Ling Yue, so you also have a life spirit origin stone fragment. It seems that this blood god fruit was set up by you guys to lure me out. However, do you think that you can really take me down with just the two of you? Even when facing Lu Ming and Ling Yue, Xueming was still confident. Even if he was no match for them, he could still escape. After all, Ling Yue's ranking in the top 100 quasi-emperor rankings was lower than his. Moreover, he still had the blood demon clone. Xueming's mind was already rapidly calculating. He was calculating how to escape and then mobilizing the experts of the blood demon race to kill Lu Ming and Ling Yue. However, Ling Yue and Lu Ming would no longer waste their breath with him. Swish! Swish! The two of them moved at the same time, charging towards Xueming. Ling Yue, I'll leave that clone to you first. I'll deal with Xueming's main body. Lu Ming sent a sound transmission to Ling Yue. His own attacks were like a storm as they pressed down on Xueming's main body. Lu Ming raised his battle prowess to the extreme. Not only did he display the Great Divine Wind technique, but he also displayed the Great Fragmentation technique that he had just touched upon. In addition, the 3 gravity orbs were activated at full power, and the powerful gravity enveloped Xueming and his doppelganger. Even with Xueming's battle prowess, he was greatly affected. Blood Demon Divine Body. Immortal for all eternity. Xueming's main body let out a long howl. His body seemed to have completely turned into blood, and it swelled rapidly, transforming into a 10-meter-tall blood demon. Roar! Xueming brandished the 10-meter-long blood saber in his hand. The shocking saber radiance burst out and slashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's fist collided with the blood-colored saber light, and a heaven-shaking explosion erupted. A terrifying force tore through the void, and the planet beneath their feet instantly exploded. The terrifying force left cracks in the starry sky of the universe, which spread out over 10 million li www. Org. The two of them quickly retreated. But this time, Xueming retreated even further. When the two of them were at their peak, Lu Ming was no weaker than Xueming. Moreover, Xueming was injured now, so he was naturally no match for Lu Ming. Lu Ming retreated and displayed the Great Divine Wind technique. His speed was extremely fast, and in a flash, he appeared in front of Xueming and continued to launch a terrifying attack. On the other side, Ling Yue also made her move. A towering tree appeared behind her. It was so tall that it towered into the starry sky. A huge amount of green light flew into Ling Yue's body, causing her aura to soar to the extreme. Ling Yue held a huge battle bow in her hand, and endless green light gathered into an arrow. Whoosh! The arrow flew out and shot toward Xueming's doppelganger. Wherever the arrow passed, the universe seemed to be divided into 2 halves. Xueming's doppelganger let out a long howl and became one with the saber, transforming into a blood-colored saber light that was tens of thousands of meters long. It slashed toward Ling Yue and collided with the emerald green arrow. Boom! With a shocking explosion, a huge hole was blasted in the sky of the universe, and a figure rapidly retreated. It was Xueming's doppelganger. At this moment, the light on Xueming's doppelganger dimmed, and runes crawled all over his body. This was Ling Yue's sealing power. Whoosh! Ling Yue drew her bow for the second time, and another arrow flew toward Xueming's doppelganger. Xueming's doppelganger struggled violently, but he was sealed and was useless. Puff! The arrow pierced through Xueming's body, and then Xueming's doppelganger exploded, turning into energy and disappearing. Xueming's main body suffered a backlash once again. He coughed up large mouthfuls of blood and roared in shock. Ling Yue, why is your combat strength so strong? His doppelganger had 80% of his main body's combat strength, but now, it had been shot by Ling Yue with 2 arrows. This level of combat strength was probably stronger than his main body. Wasn't Ling Yue ranked 16th on the top 100 quasi-emperors list, weaker than him? However, her combat strength just now was clearly stronger than his. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He could also tell that Ling Yue's combat strength was stronger than he had imagined. She could probably defeat Xueming by herself. The people outside had underestimated her. No wonder she dared to scheme against Xueming by herself in the past. The reason why she pulled him along was probably because she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to keep Xueming by herself. She was afraid that Xueming would escape. However, Lu Ming was only slightly surprised for a moment. His attack speed didn't slow down in the slightest. Taking advantage of Xueming's backlash, Lu Ming seized the opportunity and struck Xueming again, sending him flying. Let's go! Xueming had just stabilized his body, and without thinking, he flew into the distance. He knew that with Lu Ming and Ling Yue working together, he was no match for them. If this continued, his main body would have to stay here. Mu Yun, use the gravity orb to suppress him and slow him down. Leave the main attack to me. Ling Yue sent a sound transmission to Lu Ming. At the same time, she drew her bow and shot out another arrow. The speed of the arrow was simply too fast as it chased after Xueming. The arrow scattered in the air, turning into hundreds of arrows that enveloped Xueming from all directions. During this process, Lu Ming used the Great Divine Wind technique and constantly flashed as he approached Xueming. The powerful gravity of the gravity orb enveloped Xueming and slowed him down. Then, arrows filled the sky and flew toward Xueming. Seeing that he couldn't dodge them, Xueming roared. His saber light exploded and he instantly slashed out hundreds of times, colliding with the arrows. However, even though he had managed to block the arrow, his body was covered in runes and symbols. Ling Yue's sealing power wanted to seal Xueming. Xueming roared and erupted with all his strength. Countless blood-colored lights pierced out of his body like sharp swords, wanting to erase the sealing power. However, Lu Ming wouldn't give him such a chance. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Ming waved his fists continuously and threw out hundreds of punches. Hundreds of fist energies bombarded Xueming's body, completely obliterating the bloody light that burst out from his body. At the same time, Xueming vomited blood. Kill! Ling Yue seized the opportunity and shot out a terrifying arrow. Book guest reading website. Chapter 3840. For the last arrow, Ling Yue used all her strength. The terrifying arrow instantly tore through the void and shot towards Xueming. Under such circumstances, Xueming couldn't dodge at all. Therefore, he could only do his best to increase his defense and his chances of survival. Xueming was hit by the arrow. At the critical moment, he managed to avoid being hit in the head. However, his chest was still pierced by the arrow. The powerful force of the arrow sent Xueming flying millions of miles into the void. Although Xueming wasn't killed on the spot, he was severely injured and his aura was extremely weak. His body had been destroyed by the destructive power of the arrow. It would take at least a month for him to recover. Now, Lu Ming and Ling Yue naturally wouldn't give Xueming a month. The two of them chased after Xueming at their fastest speed. In a flash, they approached Xueming. Before they arrived, their attacks arrived first. They didn't give Xueming a chance to breathe because they were afraid that Xueming would spread the news with the Dream God Jade. After all, controlling the Dream God Jade required divine power and time. As long as he didn't have the time, he wouldn't be able to spread the news. But at this moment, something unexpected happened. Just as Lu Ming and Ling Yue were not far from Xueming, a figure suddenly appeared behind Xueming. It was a young man wearing a black robe. He was tall and sturdy. The most special thing about this person was his appearance. This person had 3 heads and 6 arms. The expression of each head was different. There was anger, killing intent, and joy. As soon as this person appeared, he attacked Xueming. 6 different attacks appeared on his 6 arms and blasted towards Xueming. Azura. Xueming let out a roar of unwillingness as his body exploded. Even his soul did not manage to escape and was destroyed as well. A peerless monster of a generation had fallen just like that. As soon as Xueming fell, a white light rushed out of his body. Life Spirit Origin Stone Fragment. Lu Ming and Ling Yue could tell at a glance that this was a Life Spirit Origin Stone Fragment. It was Xueming's Life Spirit Origin Stone Fragment. The young man with 3 heads and 6 arms reached out and grabbed the fragment of Xueming's Life Spirit Origin Stone. Let go of the Vitality Stone Fragment. No. This person also has fragments of the Natal Spirit Primal Stone in his body. Lu Ming and Ling Yue exclaimed. This was because both of them could sense that the 3-headed, 6-armed young man was not only holding Xueming's Natal Spirit Stone fragment in his hand, but there was also a Natal Spirit Stone fragment in his body. He was also a prodigy who had been chosen by the Life Spirit Vitality Stone fragment. Whoosh! Boom! Without the slightest hesitation, Ling Yue and Lu Ming made their moves. An arrow and a fist energy pierced through the air and shot toward the man. This person's 3 heads all revealed different expressions. There was killing intent, anger, and disdain. His 6 arms formed different seals at the same time, striking out 6 different attacks, colliding with Lu Ming and Ling Yue's attacks. A series of explosions rang out. The 3-headed, 6-armed young man actually blocked Lu Ming and Ling Yue's attacks, but his body was pushed back. Lu Ming and Ling Yue were secretly shocked. This person's combat power was so strong. He actually blocked the attacks of the 2 of them by himself. Without a doubt, this person's cultivation was also at the quasi-emperor level. Those above the divine emperor level could not enter. However, Lu Ming and Ling Yue's attacks did not stop at all. After missing their first move, their second move exploded out. A towering tree appeared behind Ling Yue. Endless green light entered Ling Yue's body and then turned into an emerald green arrow. As for Lu Ming, he used the taboo power, the Great God Wind technique, and so on to the peak and blasted out a move. 2 more terrifying attacks than the previous one blasted toward the 3-headed, 6-armed young man. The 3-headed, 6-armed young man's 3 faces all revealed serious expressions at the same time. He let out a light shout, and his 6 arms no longer formed seals individually. Instead, they cooperated with each other to form seals. Then, a huge figure appeared in the sky. This was a terrifying figure with 99 heads and 999 arms. This figure's 999 arms suddenly joined forces and pressed down, transforming into a huge palm that pressed down on Lu Ming and Ling Yue's attacks. Boom! A terrifying explosion occurred. It shook the heavens and the earth and spread across millions of miles of the starry sky. If there were still stars here, they would definitely be blown to ashes. In the end, the huge figure with 99 heads and 999 arms exploded under the terrifying power. However, Lu Ming and Ling Yue's attacks were also blocked. That young man had only retreated a distance. His aura was slightly unstable, but he was not injured. Lu Ming and Ling Yue were truly shocked. Just now, the 2 of them had almost used all their strength and used their strongest attacks, but they were blocked by the 3-headed, 6-armed young man. This was unbelievable. Now, Lu Ming and Ling Yue had joined forces. How terrifying was that? Even Xueqi would die. However, this young man in front of them could block it. There were only a few quasi-emperor level geniuses in the entire universe who could do this. Don't fight yet. At this moment, the 3-headed, 6-armed young man suddenly shouted. Lu Ming and Ling Yue were not in a hurry to attack. Azura clansman, who are you? Ling Yue stared at the young man and asked. Without a doubt, this young man was from the Shura race. The 3-headed, 6-armed figure could only belong to the Shura race. Xueqi. One of the young man's heads smiled faintly and spoke. The other 2 heads did not speak. Xueqi? There's no such name in the top 100 quasi-emperors list. Ling Yue said. With Xueqi's combat strength, he could definitely be ranked in the top 10 of the top 100 quasi-emperors list. However, there was no such name in the top 100 quasi-emperors list. You believe in the top 100 quasi-emperors list? It's all arranged by some bored people. There's no participation from the top 10 races or the Heavenly Palace. I don't know how many people were left out. Xueqi smiled faintly. Lu Ming and Ling Yue nodded secretly. Indeed, the top 100 quasi-emperors list was not like the Universe Genius list, which had the top 10 races and the Heavenly Palace. It was very valuable. Even if there were some who were left out, there were very few of them. There were definitely many terrifying geniuses who were not listed in the top 100 quasi-emperors list. For example, Xueqi. Xueqi, hand over the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragment. You alone are no match for the 2 of us. Ling Yue said domineeringly. Ling Yue, you don't have to scare me. I saw your fight with Xueqi very clearly. I also tried to test your strength. If the 2 of you work together, you might be able to defeat me. However, if I want to leave, you won't be able to stop me. Xueqi smiled faintly. Chapter 38-41. Xueqi was very confident, but Lu Ming and Ling Yue's faces were gloomy. They knew that Xueqi was right. If the 2 of them worked together, they might be able to suppress Xueqi, but if he tried to break through, they might not be able to stop him. Unfortunately, Qiu isn't here. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. Divine emperors and above couldn't enter the panicked god ruins, so Xueqi didn't follow them in and stayed outside. If Xueqi was here, no matter how strong Xueqi was, he wouldn't be Xueqi's opponent. Humph, Xueqi, do you think I don't have a trump card? If I don't mind paying a price, I can definitely keep you here. Ling Yue said coldly. I know you have a trump card, but do you think I don't have one? Xueqi was still chuckling softly. He appeared very confident, as if he had the pearl of wisdom in his hand. Ling Yue's face darkened. If she had a trump card, how could Xueqi not have one? It was hard to say. She couldn't figure out Xueqi. I'd like to know why you're here. Ling Yue asked. It's very simple. You've been eyeing Xueming, and I've been eyeing him for a long time. It's just that Xueming is very cautious. His main body has been hiding, so I haven't had a chance to make a move. Fortunately, you've appeared. When I saw Xueming's main body appear, I knew my chance had come. So I've been secretly following Xueming to this panicked god ruins. I wanted to wait for Xueming to refine the blood god fruit, but I didn't expect you to act faster than me. It saved me a lot of effort. Xueqi explained with a smile. Then, Xueqi's tone changed. I know you want this life spirit yuan stone, and I'll give it to you as well. However, I have a condition. You want to give this life spirit yuan stone to us? Ling Yue's eyes flashed. She was very surprised. Lu Ming was also very surprised. That's right, it's absolutely true. Xueqi nodded. What's your condition? Ling Yue asked. It's very simple. Let's join forces and explore the life spirit heavenly court ruins together. Xueqi, you want to join forces with us? Lu Ming and Ling Yue's eyes were filled with suspicion. It was obvious that they did not believe in Xueqi. The life spirit heavenly court is no small matter. It's too difficult and dangerous for one person to explore it alone. If we work together, we'll have the best chance. Let's work together and share the treasures equally. How about that? After all, I can't take you down, and you can't take me down. If we split up and explore, we'll only get half the results with twice the effort. But if we work together, we'll get twice the results with half the effort. For the three of us, this is a huge advantage. Xueqi Dao. Ling Yue and Lu Ming also began to ponder. It had to be said that what Xueqi said made sense. If they worked together, both sides would benefit. However, the two of them could not believe Xueqi so easily. This Xueqi gave them an unfathomable feeling. How do you want to work together? Ling Yue continued to ask. I know you don't believe me. First, I'll give you this piece of life spirit vitality stone to show my sincerity. Also, I know something important about the life spirit heavenly court that I can tell you. Xueqi Dao. Oh. Give me the fragment of the life spirit vitality stone first. Ling Yue stretched out her hand. Unexpectedly, Xueqi smiled and waved his hand, throwing the fragment of the life spirit vitality stone to Ling Yue without any hesitation. Ling Yue used her divine power to wrap around the fragment of the life spirit vitality stone. She scanned it with her spiritual sense and found that there was nothing wrong with it. She was surprised that Xueqi would actually give her the fragment of the life spirit vitality stone. Dense runes appeared on Ling Yue's palm. She used the power of sealing to seal the fragment of the life spirit vitality stone and then put it away. According to the agreement, this fragment of the life spirit vitality stone belonged to Ling Yue. What is the important news you mentioned? After Ling Yue put away the fragment of the life spirit vitality stone, she felt a lot more at ease with Xueqi and asked again. Through my life spirit vitality stone fragment, the stone spirit, I know of a place that is very likely left behind by the life spirit heavenly court. Xueqi Dao. The life spirit was left behind by the heavenly court. Lu Ming and Ling Yue were both shocked. Up until now, other than obtaining a few fragments of the life spirit vitality stone, they had no other clues about the life spirit heavenly court. When this person heard such news, he couldn't help but feel excited. The main heavenly court of the life spirit heavenly court is mysterious and unfathomable. I don't know where it floats in the universe, and below the life spirit heavenly court, there are 9 great life spirit halls. They are also difficult to find. However, apart from the main heavenly court and the 9 life spirit halls, there are other treasures left behind in the life spirit celestial court. My rock spirit told me about this treasure land. It's very likely that there are clues to the 9 life spirit halls in it. Therefore, I want to cooperate with you to explore this treasure land together, and then continue to explore the 9 Great Life Spirit Heavenly Court, and even the final Life Spirit Heavenly Court. Xueqi told them everything he knew in one breath. Lu Ming and Ling Yue's eyes flashed. They were obviously moved. The treasures left behind by the Life Spirit Heavenly Court were definitely no small matter. There would definitely be opportunities. The key was that they might even find information about the 9 Great Life Spirit Halls. As the Life Spirit Heavenly Court's 9 Great Life Spirit Halls, there would definitely be shocking opportunities. If news of this spread, the entire universe would be shocked. It would be strange if the two of them weren't moved. I know that the two of you don't believe me, but what I said is absolutely true. I can swear with my life origin. Xueqi immediately swore with his life origin that what he said about the treasure land of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court was absolutely true. Every word was true. All right, I agree to cooperate with you. Mu Yun, what do you say? Ling Yue nodded in agreement, then looked at Lu Ming. Since we want to cooperate, of course we will. Lu Ming also nodded. All right. Xueqi was overjoyed. The treasure of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, I said, is in the Hengsha Star region. There is no time to lose. We should set off as soon as possible. The three of them discussed for a while and immediately set off. However, they were afraid that Xueming had brought a divine emperor expert to guard outside the panicked God-forgotten land. So they chose a remote direction and left the panicked God-forgotten land. After leaving the panicked God-forgotten land, they found an excuse and secretly left for a while to meet up with Xueqi. Then, they returned to the team and the three of them headed toward the Hengsha Star region. The Hengsha Star region was a star region even larger than the Iron Sea Star region. There were many star regions here, and they were also filled with large and small forces. It was very chaotic. However, the Hengsha Star region they were going to was located at the edge of the Hengsha Star region. It was very remote. According to the information they had found, this place was not occupied by any forces. However, when they arrived, they were dumbfounded. The core region of the Sand Stratum had been occupied by a powerful force, and it had been occupied for a very long time. Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 3842. Lu Ming, Ling Yue, and Xueqi looked at each other in dismay. According to the information they had gathered, the Sand Layer Starfield was located in the wilderness. The cultivation environment was not good, so it was not chosen by any forces. But now, the Sand Layer Starfield had already been occupied by a sect called the Spirit Hung Sect. Only the surrounding area had not been occupied. And the entrance to the treasure land left behind by the Heavenly Court that Lu Ming wanted them to go to was at the core of the Sand Layer Starfield. After asking around, they found out that the planet where the entrance was located was heavily guarded by the Linheng sect. There were divine emperors guarding it, and it was as solid as a rock. With their strength, it was almost impossible for them to force their way in. The three of them were speechless. It seemed that it was not that easy to obtain the life spirit of the Heavenly Court. The three of them discussed for a while and decided to stay near the Sand Layer Starfield. They would gather information and act according to the situation. Golden Sand Planet was a planet in the periphery of the Sand Layer Starfield. This planet was relatively lively. It was a place of commerce. In the Sand City Starfield, it was considered very prosperous. There were creatures from all over the world coming and going. It was very lively. As soon as the three of them entered a city, they smelled a rich fragrance. The direction of the fragrance was not far ahead. The three of them were curious and walked over. They saw that in an empty space, rows of tables and chairs were already filled with people. These people were drinking and eating barbecued meat. That rich fragrance was coming from the barbecued meat. Just smelling that fragrance was enough to make one's appetite stir. Guests, do you want to eat barbecued meat? Our barbecued desert flame sparrow meat is famous far and wide. It is known as the #1 delicacy in the Sand Starfield group and has attracted countless guests. As soon as the three of them walked in, a waiter immediately came up to greet them. That's right, we're here to eat barbecued meat. Give us a few plates. Ling Yue was very heroic. She casually sat down at an empty table. Lu Ming and Xueqi also sat down. Soon, 3 large basins of barbecued meat were served. Each basin of barbecued meat weighed more than 10 jin. In addition, there were 3 jars of wine. Lu Ming grabbed it and took a bite. As expected, It was fragrant and melted in his mouth. It was a rare delicacy. No wonder it attracted so many people. Ling Yue and Xueqi also began to eat without holding back. The three of them perked up their ears as they ate, listening to the discussions of the people around them. Have you heard? The Linghing sect will soon recruit people to enter the Golden Sand Planet to hunt the soul beasts inside. Someone said. When they heard about the Linghing sect and the Jinsha planet, Lu Ming and the other two pricked up their ears and listened confidently. This Black Sand Planet was just an ordinary planet in the past. Who would have thought that Black Sand Planet actually came with a medium-class world that contained a large number of soul beasts? Soul Jade can be obtained by killing soul beasts. Soul Jade is a good thing. It can strengthen the strength of the soul and even increase the strength of one's comprehension of origin secret techniques. That's right. The Linghing sect relied on this to make a fortune. However, the Linghing sect is also polite. They recruit people to hunt soul beasts and can keep 30% of the soul jade they obtain. This time, I must sign up. I want to go too. Around them, voices entered the ears of Lu Ming, Ling Yue, and Xueqi. The three of them looked at each other and saw surprise in each other's eyes. A medium-class world attached to Black Sand Planet? Could it be a treasure land left behind by the Life Spirit Heavenly Court? The Linghing sect wanted to recruit people to enter this world to hunt soul beasts. This was their chance. The three of them immediately decided to sign up and take the opportunity to sneak in. What worried them was that if this world was really a treasure land left behind by the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, then would the opportunities inside have long been plundered by the people of the Linghing sect? However, since they were already here, they definitely had to go in and take a look. Otherwise, how could they be willing? At this moment, Lu Ming frowned. He noticed that there were a few gazes on his left that kept glancing at him. There was killing intent in their eyes. Lu Ming's spiritual sense was extremely sharp. He clearly caught the killing intent in the other party's eyes. Not only on the left but also behind. Lu Ming felt the hair on his back stand up. This was a natural reaction after being stared at by a murderous gaze. At this moment, Ling Yue and Xueqi also felt it. The reason why they felt that it was a little slow was because the killing intent was mainly aimed at Lu Ming. They were only incidental, so they felt that it was a little slow. Swoosh 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 suddenly. Over 100 people flew over from one direction. As soon as these people arrived, they revealed a strong killing intent and swept their eyes across the entire place. Those who were eating barbecued meat were shocked and ran away. In the blink of an eye, none of the barbecued meat customers were left. The remaining people were all in the same group. They were all people who wanted to kill Lu Ming. Lu Ming frowned. He didn't know these people at all. Why would they want to kill him? Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The figures of these people flashed and surrounded Lu Ming and the other two. Brat, how dare you kill our young master? You're unlucky today. We'll let you die miserably. A burly man stared at Lu Ming. His eyes were very ferocious. Your young master? Who is it? I think you've got the wrong person. Lu Ming said. Wrong person? Hee, let me tell you, we're from the Blood Skull Pirates. The burly man said. So it's the Blood Skull Pirates. Lu Ming suddenly understood. He remembered that when he and Ling Yue went to the Blood Shadow Fiend land to transplant the Blood God fruit tree, they met the Blood Skull Pirates. Among them, the young man in the lead claimed to be the young master of the Blood Skull Pirates. At that time, the young master of the Blood Skull Pirates led the monsters to surround and kill them. In the end, he was killed by Lu Ming and wiped out the entire Blood Skull Pirates. However, didn't he kill all of the Blood Skull Pirates at that time? Could it be that there were still people alive? Brat, don't think that you can kill the young master of the Blood Skull Pirates without anyone knowing. Let me tell you, my young master has a curse power on him. Whoever kills him will be affected by the curse power. Even if you run to the end of the world, you won't be able to escape from our hands. The burly man sneered. Lu Ming was enlightened. As it turned out, it wasn't that someone had survived. Instead, it was that young master's curse power that had landed on him. That was how the Blood Skull Pirates had recognized him. However, why couldn't he feel the curse power at all? It seemed that he had to check his body carefully when he had time. Brat, do you understand now? How dare you kill the Blood Skull Pirates and swagger around? You're courting death. Kill them. The burly man gave the order. Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 38-43. As soon as the burly man gave the order, all of the Blood Skull pirates in the vicinity began to clamor. Kill! This brat is mine! That chick is mine! The eyes of the Blood Skull pirates shone with a fiery light as they brandished their weapons and charged at Lu Ming's group. As long as they killed Lu Ming's group, they would definitely be rewarded by the Blood Skull pirates' leader. How could they not be excited? They roared as they charged at Lu Ming's group, as if Lu Ming's group were lambs waiting to be slaughtered. In the eyes of these people, Lu Ming and the other two were indeed lambs waiting to be slaughtered. Their cultivation was below the Divine Emperor level, and there were more than 100 people from the Blood Skull pirate team present. Among these people, there were more than 30 quasi-emperors. The others were all 9th and 8th level divine lords. With so many of them working together, killing Lu Ming's group would be a piece of cake. But in reality, Lu Ming's group was not lambs waiting to be slaughtered. They were ferocious tigers. Shill! Lu Ming made his move. A long sword condensed at his fingertips. As the sword vibrated, rays of sword light flew out. It was too fast. It was so fast that many people couldn't react in time. Puh, puh, puh. Blood splattered everywhere. In an instant, dozens of Blood Skull pirates were stabbed in the forehead by the sword light. They fell to the ground and died on the spot. These people, whether they were quasi-emperors, 9th level divine lords, or 8th level divine lords, were all the same. None of them could block Lu Ming's sword light. At the same time, Ling Yue and Xueqi made their moves. Ling Yue flicked her finger, and emerald green arrows flew out. Just like Lu Ming's sword light, every arrow was capable of taking the lives of the Blood Skull pirates. Xueqi's eyes emitted wisps of dark light. With a flash of the dark light, a large number of Blood Skull pirates were killed. In the blink of an eye, only a dozen or so of the Blood Skull pirate group's members survived. The remaining people were stunned. Around them, those who were watching from afar were also stunned. So many experts were killed in the blink of an eye. As for Lu Ming and the other two, their cultivation bases were not at the Divine Emperor realm. Monster! The same thought flashed through everyone's mind. These three people must be peerless monsters. Otherwise, their strength would not be so shocking. All of you are courting death. At this time, the burly man finally reacted and let out a hysterical roar. A terrifying aura burst out from his body. Shen Huang. That tall and sturdy man had the strength of the first godly Emperor Leia. At the same time, the other members of the Blood Skull pirate group also unleashed their powerful auras. They were all divine emperors. There were 4 cultivators of the first godly Emperor layer. That was not all. Even further away, a few powerful auras erupted. Then, a few figures stepped through the air and came over. Those people were obviously from the Blood Skull pirate group, and they were even stronger. They had the strength of the second godly Emperor layer. Obviously, those people had a higher status. Therefore they had stayed far away and had no intention of getting involved. However, when they saw that Lu Ming and the other two had killed over 100 members of the Blood Skull pirate group, they could not sit still anymore. They all rushed over. There were 3 cultivators of the second godly Emperor layer and 4 cultivators of the first godly Emperor layer. They surrounded Lu Ming and the other two. It's over. Those 3 young men and women are doomed. They provoked the Blood Skull pirate group. The Blood Skull pirate group is one of the top 10 pirate groups. They are extremely strong, but why are they here? Could it be because of Black Sand Planet? In the distance, many people were discussing secretly. They were all astonished. The Blood Skull pirate group was one of the top 10 pirate groups. They were famous throughout the universe. They had plundered the world. Logically speaking, such a terrifying pirate group should only appear in the relatively wealthy starfields. Why would they come to a remote place like the Sand Stratum starfield? The only explanation was the soul jade of Black Sand Planet. Let's attack together. Let's get rid of these people quickly and get out of here, said Ling Yue. It's a good opportunity to exercise. Leave that guy to me, said Xueqi smiling icily. His silhouette flickered and he threw himself at a fat old man. That fat old man was one of the 3 cultivators of the second godly Emperor layer of the Blood Skull pirate group. Many people were astonished. When Xueqi attacked, they could see that he was a quasi-Emperor layer cultivator. A quasi-Emperor dared attack a cultivator of the second godly Emperor layer? Was there something wrong with his head? Did he want to die? But what surprised them even more was what happened next. Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei also attacked a cultivator of the second godly emperor layer. Boom! Lu Ming used his battle formula to increase his fighting strength by 5 times. At the same time, he used his great godly wind technique and punched a cultivator of the second godly emperor layer. As soon as Lu Ming struck, his terrifying power made the cultivator of the second divine emperor realm turn pale. With a roar, he took out a huge hammer and smashed it at Lu Ming with all his might. Dong, dong, dong. Rumbling sounds spread in the air. The cultivator of the second godly emperor layer trembled violently and was pushed backwards, coughing up blood. Several cracks appeared on the sledgehammer in his hand. Impossible! The cultivator of the second godly emperor layer was astonished. He thought he was in a dream. After fighting against Lu Ming, he could clearly sense that Lu Ming only had the strength of the 8th godly emperor layer. A cultivator of the 8th godly emperor layer had fought against him and injured him. How was that possible? Crazy. This world has gone crazy. But Lu Ming didn't give him the chance to sigh. He released a terrifying strength and threw himself at him. At the same time, Lu Ming's gravity pearl shone and a powerful gravitational force surrounded his opponent. Lu Ming didn't use his gravity pearl because he was afraid people would recognize it. But even if he didn't use it, Lu Ming could still release a powerful gravitational force. Under the pressure of the gravity pearl, the other party's body trembled. Lu Ming, on the other hand, had already charged past him. The violent force tore apart the other party's defense. The other party screamed miserably as his body was torn into pieces and he died on the spot. On the other side, a green arrow streaked across the sky and pierced through a cultivator of the second godly emperor layer, killing him instantly. Xueqi's situation was even simpler. He grabbed the fat old man and tore him in two. Even his soul was taken away by Xueqi. The surrounding people were completely dumbfounded and confused. What had they just seen? 3 young people who hadn't even broken through to the godly emperor layer had killed 3 cultivators of the second godly emperor layer? Not only could they fight against cultivators who were much stronger than them, but they could also fight against cultivators who were much stronger than them. Monstrous. A peerless monstrous genius. Otherwise, how could he have such powerful combat strength? Chapter 38-44. Everybody was dumbstruck. They knew that this time, it wasn't Lu Ming who had kicked an iron plate. It was the Blood Skull Pirates who had kicked an iron plate. Run! The remaining 4 godly emperors of the first godly emperor layer and a few quasi-emperors of the Blood Skull Pirates were terrified. They came back to their senses and started running away. They were scared to death. How terrifying! Cultivators of the second godly emperor layer had been killed so easily. How could they be killed so easily? You want to run? Ling Yuwei looked furious. When she thought about the Blood Skull Pirates, she was furious. She wanted to kill them. At this moment, he knocked an arrow on his bow and shot out several arrows. A few quasi-emperors were pierced by the arrows and died. Even a cultivator of the first godly emperor layer was pierced by the arrows and died in midair. Leave them to me. Xueqi grinned. His eyes were filled with murder. He rose up in the air, and a few gloomy lights emerged from his hands and flew towards the cultivators of the first godly emperor layer. Leave one alive, shouted Lu Ming. He rose up in the air and threw himself at the tall and sturdy man who had talked to them at the beginning. 2 horrible shrieks spread in the air. The other 2 cultivators of the first godly emperor layer had already been killed by Xueqi. Back in the days, the Purple Sun Prefecture was strong enough to kill ordinary cultivators of the first godly emperor layer. The Purple Sun Prefecture was only a little famous among the quasi-emperors of the primitive universe. They were far from being on the list of the top 100 quasi-emperors. Xueqi was even stronger than Xue Ming, who was ranked 11th. He could easily kill ordinary cultivators of the first godly emperor layer. Killing cultivators of the second godly emperor layer wasn't difficult either. Even for Ling Yuwei and Lu Ming, it was not difficult to kill an ordinary second-level divine emperor realm expert. Just now was proof. Only the tall and sturdy man was left in the Blood Skull Pirates. He was running away as fast as he could, burning his godly strength to increase his speed. Unfortunately, he wasn't as strong as Lu Ming. Under the support of the Great God Wind technique, Lu Ming was like a ghost. With a few flashes, he caught up with the burly man. I'll kill you. The burly man saw that he couldn't escape, so he simply stopped. He roared and slashed his saber towards Lu Ming. Clang! Lu Ming threw a punch at the battle saber. With a cracking sound, the battle saber broke into pieces. The burly big shot screamed miserably. His arms exploded as he retreated rapidly. "Mercy, please spare my life." The burly man suddenly roared and began to beg for mercy. Seeing that he was about to be killed, the burly man was scared to death. He didn't care about his dignity anymore. Hee, leaving behind a coward, my luck is not bad. Lu Ming laughed in his heart, but his hands did not stop. He punched the tall and sturdy big mountain. The tall and sturdy big mountain was heavily injured, and his aura withered. "Spare my life," the burly man continued to shout. "Now, what will you answer when I ask you a question? Cooperate with me, and I won't kill you." Lu Ming stared at the tall and sturdy big mountain. Okay, I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you everything." The tall and sturdy big mountain shouted. The consequences of betraying the Blood Skull Pirates were very serious. However, he couldn't care less now. At worst, he would just find a remote place to hide. "Let me ask you, how did you find me? Is it the curse power you mentioned? Can you track the curse power?" Lu Ming asked the first question. This was the question he was most concerned about. If the Blood Skull Pirates could track the curse power, he would have endless trouble in the future. "No, we can't track the curse power. We only found you when we ran into you. If we didn't run into you, we wouldn't have found you." The tall and sturdy big mountain answered quickly. Hearing the tall and sturdy big mountain's answer, Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. The tall and sturdy big mountain couldn't track him. They had just run into the Blood Skull Pirates. It could only be said that his luck wasn't very good. The universe was vast and boundless, but he had run into the Blood Skull Pirates here. "What are you people from the Blood Skull Pirates doing here?" Lu Ming continued to ask. "We're here to attack the Black Sand planet of the Linghing sect and see some soul jades," the tall and sturdy big mountain replied. "With just the few of you?" Lu Ming expressed his doubts. "Of course not. We're just one of the groups. The real main force is still behind us and will arrive soon. There are many experts in the main force. People like me are nothing at all," the tall and sturdy big mountain replied. He didn't forget to brag about the Blood Skull Pirates, and there was a hint of threat in his words. The meaning was very simple. The main force of the Blood Skull Pirates would arrive soon. There were many experts, and you'd better let me go quickly. Otherwise, it wouldn't be good for you. After saying that, the tall and sturdy big mountain looked at Lu Ming nervously. Scram! Lu Ming waved his hand and let go of the tall and sturdy big mountain. The tall and sturdy big mountain was overjoyed and hurriedly flew into the distance. At the same time his mind became active. Before, he only had one thought, and that was to stabilize Lu Ming and protect his life. As for whether he would be retaliated by the Blood Skull Pirates later on, he didn't care. But now that Lu Ming had let him go, his thoughts changed. He thought that he would go back and bring the Blood Skull Pirates to kill Lu Ming, Ling Yue, and Xueqi to make up for his mistakes. "Brat, just wait for your death." The tall and sturdy big mountain's eyes flashed with a trace of ferocious killing intent. Bang! At this moment, an arrow pierced through the back of the tall and sturdy big mountain's head. The tall and sturdy big mountain's eyes widened, filled with unwillingness. Then, his vitality was cut off and he fell to the ground. "I said that I wouldn't make a move, but I didn't say that others wouldn't," Lu Ming muttered. Ling Yue and Xueqi smiled faintly. The one who made a move just now was naturally Ling Yue. They were all smart people. When Lu Ming said that he wouldn't make a move, they understood what Lu Ming meant. "It seems that the Blood Skull Pirates are going to attack Black Sand Star. Let's just sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight," Lu Ming said. Ling Yue and Xueqi nodded. Perhaps they could take advantage of the chaos to enter the medium-class world of Black Sand Star. The three of them didn't stay and quickly left. Of course, the rumors about the three of them quickly spread. However, the attention of the people in this area was mostly attracted by the Blood Skull Pirates. Lu Ming and the other two could only be said to be three peerless monsters who accidentally wandered here. However, the large-scale appearance of the Blood Skull Pirates here was related to their lives. Lu Ming and the other two found a small city to stay in and paid close attention to the situation of Black Sand Star. The Blood Skull Pirates seemed to know that they had been exposed and sped up their movements. In a few days, they rushed to Black Sand Star and launched an attack. However, not long after, a piece of news spread out. The Blood Skull pirates retreated in defeat and suffered heavy injuries in the process of attacking Black Sand Star. Chapter 38:45. When the Blood Skull pirates attacked Black Sand Planet, they suffered heavy losses. The Lingheng sect had long been prepared. They had ambushed a large number of experts on Black Sand Planet to kill the Blood Skull pirates. The Blood Skull pirates had suffered heavy losses. It was said that dozens of divine emperors had died and fled in a sorry state. When Lu Ming, Ling Yue, and Xiao Wuji heard this news, they secretly rejoiced that they didn't act rashly. The strength of the Lingheng sect was still above their imagination. They definitely couldn't attack by force, but they still had a chance. Every once in a while, the Lingheng sect would recruit a group of people to enter the medium-class world of Black Sand Planet to hunt soul beasts and obtain soul jades. The next recruitment was said to be in 2 years. 2 years was just a blink of an eye to everyone. Lu Ming and the other two stayed on this small planet, constantly paying attention to the news of the Lingheng sect and Black Sand Planet. Lu Ming naturally wouldn't waste these 2 years. He chose a secret place and wholeheartedly cultivated the great art of fragmentation. Ling Yue and Xiao Wuji also went into seclusion, looking forward to improving their battle prowess. The matter of exploring the Life Spirit Heavenly Court would definitely not be smooth sailing. One's own battle prowess was very important. Every bit that could be raised was a bit. While Lu Ming was comprehending the great art of fragmentation with all his might, time flew by. In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed. Without the environment where he cultivated the great God Wind technique, his improvement naturally wouldn't be that fast. However, it still allowed the great art of fragmentation to improve by a large margin. He wasn't too far away from the entry level. If he used it with Lu Ming's full strength, his strength would also increase by quite a bit. At this time, Lu Ming, Ling Yue, and Xiao Wuji came out of seclusion and headed towards Black Sand Planet together. Black Sand Planet. Evil Soul City. It was very lively with a sea of people. That medium-class world was called the Evil Soul Realm. Therefore, the city built next to it was called the Evil Soul City. Entering the Evil Soul Realm to hunt soul beasts and obtain soul jades, one could keep 30% of them. This was a great temptation and naturally attracted many people. At the registration point, there was a long line. Let me tell you all, the Evil Soul Realm isn't a safe place. Without a certain level of strength, it's very dangerous to enter. Therefore, it's best to have a cultivation of 7th level Divine Lord and above go in. Only then can you have some gains. However, if you are confident in yourselves and insist on entering, we will not stop you. You are responsible for your own life and death. At the registration counter, a burly man shouted loudly. Those whose cultivation bases were too weak hesitated for a moment before deciding to give up. However, more people chose to continue. Register your names and cultivation bases, and then line up in the square inside. The brawny man continued to shout. One by one, the registration was done very quickly. Soon, it was Lu Ming and the others' turn. Naturally, they casually made up a fake name. After all, the people of the Lingheng sect wouldn't investigate. After registering, Lu Ming and the others went to a square in the back and waited quietly. After a few hours, there were already a few thousand people in the square. You guys, come with us first. At this moment, a group of people arrived. Each of them had a strong aura. They were experts of the Lingheng sect. Lu Ming and the others followed the experts of the Lingheng sect and left the Evil Soul City. They headed north of the Evil Soul City and soon arrived at a huge canyon. Many experts. Lu Ming secretly sensed and discovered that there were many experts lying in ambush around the canyon. Among them, there was no lack of Divine Emperor Realm experts. He knew that they were all experts of the Lingheng sect. Walking into the valley, when they reached the depths of the valley, they saw a huge whirlpool. Lu Ming, Ling Yue, and Xiao Wuji's eyes flashed. This was the entrance to the Evil Soul Realm, right? Was this Evil Soul Realm the target they were looking for? Was it a treasure land left behind by the Life Spirit Heavenly Court? Let's go in, an old man from the Lingheng sect announced. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Thousands of experts moved. They turned into streaks of rainbow light and rushed into the whirlpool. Lu Ming and the other two blended into the crowd and also rushed into the whirlpool and disappeared. In the next moment, Lu Ming and the others arrived at a strange world. This world was dark. In the sky, there was a blood moon, scattering blood-red light. Heaven and earth were filled with a strange energy. This energy was not divine qi, but more like the energy of the soul. Let's go and find spirit beasts. Hurry up, not every spirit beast has a soul jade. We need to rely on luck. Many people flew into the distance. Of course, most of these people formed groups of 3 or 5 and formed teams. There was also a portion of people who did not move, because these people had not formed a team yet. In the evil soul realm, forming a team to hunt spirit beasts and obtain soul jades was much more efficient than fighting alone. Brother, let's form a team. Come with me, I'm at the first layer of the Divine Emperor realm. The rest of the people also began to form teams. Of course, some Divine Emperor realm people were easy to form teams. Many people joined one after another. Soon, a team was formed and discussed the distribution method. The 3 of you, are you interested in forming a team? At that moment, a bald old man came over, glanced at Lu Ming and the others and smiled. This bald old man did not hide his qi. He was at the first layer of the Divine Emperor realm. Not interested. Ling Yue directly refused. The bald old man's face stiffened and said, "The 3 of you, I can see that you have not reached the Divine Emperor realm. It is not safe in the evil soul realm. There are many Divine Emperor realm spirit beasts. Without the protection of a Divine Emperor realm expert, you will not be able to move an inch." The bald old man thought that Lu Ming and the others were young people who had come out to gain experience. They did not understand the dangers of the outside world. No need, the 3 of us are strong enough. Please go ahead. Xueqi waved his hand and smiled. Humph, a newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. Don't regret it when you encounter danger. The bald old man snorted coldly. With a wave of his sleeve, he returned to his group and left with his people. So, what's the plan? Ling Yue looked at Lu Ming and Xueqi. I don't have a plan. Lu Ming spread his hands. I don't have a plan for now. Let's walk around this world first. Xueqi said. Then, the 3 of them randomly chose a direction and flew away. The evil soul realm was a medium-class world. Its territory was very vast. Compared to a small world, it was many times bigger and more stable. After the 3 of them flew for a while, the number of people gradually decreased. Rumble. Suddenly, the ground shook and exploded. A few giant tentacles stretched out and swept towards the 3 of them. Spirit Beast. Quasi-Emperor. The 3 of them were startled. Whoosh. Lu Ming made his move. A sword light condensed at the tip of his finger and slashed out. The sword light flashed and the tentacles were cut in half. Then, the sword light changed its direction and slashed towards the ground. Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 3846. Lu Ming slashed the ground with his sword, creating a deep pit that was a few hundred miles long. It was unknown how deep it was. A scream came from the ground, and blue blood splattered. A huge octopus-like spirit beast was cut in half by the sword and died on the spot. Lu Ming's eyes moved, and he reached out his hand to grab the air. Below, a crystal the size of an egg was caught by Lu Ming. The crystal was crystal clear, like a blue crystal. Is this the soul jade? Lu Ming murmured. This was a good thing. Lu Ming kept it. Next, they continued to move forward. From time to time, they would be attacked by spirit beasts. However, the strength of these spirit beasts was not very high. Most of them were below the Divine Emperor realm. They only met one at the first layer of the Divine Emperor realm. It was not a threat to them and was easily dealt with. A few hours later, they had already traveled an unknown distance. Suddenly, a divine light flashed in front of them. More than 10 figures flew towards Lu Ming and the others. In the blink of an eye, they arrived beside Lu Ming and the others, surrounding Lu Ming and the others. These guys. Lu Ming and the others' eyes flashed as they recognized these people. These people, like them, had just come in from outside to hunt spirit beasts. They also recognized one of them. It was the bald old man who had invited Lu Ming and the others to form a team, but was rejected by Lu Ming and the others. Haha, it's really these guys. Our luck is good. These people surrounded Lu Ming and the rest, laughing heartily. Their expressions were playful and relaxed. What do you want? Ling Yue frowned slightly and said coldly. Nothing, I just want your storage rings, and the treasures you have hidden in your divine sense. The bald man said, his eyes flashing with greed. He concluded that Lu Ming and the others were just young disciples of some force who had come out to train. Such people were usually very rich. In fact, when he invited Lu Ming and the others to form a team, he had the idea of dealing with Lu Ming and the others halfway, but he didn't expect to be rejected. However, they were very lucky to meet Lu Ming and the others here. He didn't hesitate to take action. "Are you sure you want to rob us?" Ling Yue asked again. "Nonsense. Hurry up and hand it over. I might spare your lives," the bald old man shouted. "I'm afraid that even if we hand over all the treasures, you won't let us go." Lu Ming interrupted. Hee. As if Lu Ming had guessed what was on his mind, the bald old man and said, "Since you have guessed it, then I'll tell you. You guys are unlucky to meet us. Cooperate obediently, and I'll leave your corpses intact." Indeed, he had no intention of letting Lu Ming off. Since Lu Ming and the rest were disciples from powerful forces, they naturally had to silence them. After robbing them, if they did not silence them, would they wait for revenge? How was that possible? You really don't know what's good for you. At this moment, Lu Ming, Ling Yue, and Xiao Wuji's eyes flashed with killing intent. They had long seen that there were only 2 people in the bald old man's group, who were at the first Divine Emperor realm. The rest were below the Divine Emperor realm. In the eyes of Lu Ming and the others, such combat strength was nothing. With such strength, they dared to deal with them. If they weren't courting death, then what was? Roar, roar, roar. Just as Lu Ming and the others were about to make a move, there was a violent roar in the surroundings. Rumble. At the same time, there was a rumbling sound on the ground. It was as if thousands of soldiers and horses were rushing towards them. The speed was very fast. The sound seemed to be quite far away, but soon, it was very close. Between heaven and earth, there was a mass of darkness. In the air and on the ground, there were countless giant beasts flying and rampaging. Spirit beasts, all of them were spirit beasts. There were spirit beasts in all directions, and some of them were constantly drilling out from the ground. Beast tide, it's a beast tide. Someone in the bald old man's group was panic-stricken and shouted loudly. The others were the same. Their complexions were deathly pale, and they were incomparably frightened. Their faces were filled with fear. They had heard of the spirit beasts' beast tide. It was the spirit beasts of the evil spirit world who had joined forces to retaliate against invaders like them. However, beast tides were extremely rare. Normally, they wouldn't encounter one. They hadn't thought that they would encounter one now. Look at the number of spirit beasts. It should be a small-scale beast tide. Let's join forces and attack in one direction. We might be able to survive," shouted the bald old man. At this moment, they didn't care about Lu Ming and the others. Compared to treasures, their lives were more important. More than 10 of them teamed up and charged towards the back because there seemed to be fewer soul beasts behind them. "Die!" The bald old man roared as he struck out with his palm. A terrifying palm print that could topple mountains and overturn seas blasted towards the group of soul beasts. Another cultivator of the first Divine Emperor realm also attacked with his full strength. His sword chi was like a rainbow as it slashed forward. More than a dozen cultivators below the Divine Emperor realm also attacked with their full strength. Their attacks were so powerful that they were like rainbows. Bang bang. Many soul beasts exploded and were killed on the spot. The bald old man and the others were overjoyed. If this continued, they would be able to escape. Keep going, the bald old man roared, wanting to motivate everyone to charge out in one go. But before he could finish his sentence, he was stuck. Because a few terrifying roars had spread in the air. A few gigantic beasts had appeared and were moving towards the bald old man and the others. Godly emperors. They were all godly emperors. There were 5 of them. The 5 godly emperors were roaring and their bodies were glowing. 5 dazzling rays of light moved towards the bald old man and the others. "Stop them!" shouted the bald old man. He used his full strength to release a dazzling light hand. The other cultivator of the first godly emperor realm also used his full strength to release a sword attack. The others also used their full strength to help the 2 godly emperors block the attack. Boom! The 2 sides' attacks collided and the earth rumbled. The bald old man and the others' attacks were destroyed. Some of the weaker cultivators gave horrible shrieks and exploded. Their souls had been destroyed. Even though the stronger cultivators didn't die, they were severely injured and coughed up blood. Their chi was extremely weak. The bald old man and the other cultivator of the first godly emperor realm were also shaken. Blood was flowing out of their mouths. They couldn't compete with the 5 godly Emperor Realm soul beasts. But what made them even more desperate was that there were terrifying roars coming from all directions. Then, a terrifying chi rose up in the air. All of them were godly emperors. There were godly Emperor Realm soul beasts everywhere. There was more than one soul beast in each direction. There were 4 or 5 soul beasts in each direction. They were surrounded. The bald old man and the others were desperate. They were going to die. Translator. Transin editor. Transin. Chapter 38-47. The bald old man and the others were in despair. They were going to die in the face of so many strong spirit beasts. They had no chance of surviving. Roar! Roar! The spirit beasts roared. Some spirit beasts charged towards Lu Ming and the others. Terrifying attacks moved towards Lu Ming and the others. Clang! A sword gleam condensed in Lu Ming's hand, emitting a sword cry. With a sweep, a crescent moon sword gleam swept in all directions, breaking all the attacks of the soul beasts. Die! Shouted Xueqi coldly. He waved his hand and black rays of light shot out. In a flash, dozens of spirit beasts died at Xueqi's hands. After killing so many spirit beasts, he had successfully attracted the attention of the godly Emperor spirit beasts. Caw! A gigantic blue bird with 2 heads flew towards Lu Ming and the others. It opened its mouth and released a beam of blue light towards Lu Ming and the others. A godly Emperor spirit beast's attack was not to be underestimated. It was much stronger than a godly emperor. However, ordinary cultivators of the first godly emperor layer didn't pose a threat to Lu Ming and the others. Ling Yue condensed a bow in her palm, drew her bow, and shot out an arrow. An arrow rushed up, directly breaking through the 2-headed bird's attack. The arrow did not stop, piercing through the 2-headed bird's head. With a bang, the 2-headed bird's head exploded, and it died on the spot. The bald old man and the others were stupefied. Their eyes were wide open. A godly emperor spirit beast had been killed by an arrow. What kind of fighting strength was that? Such fighting strength was simply too terrifying. The bald old man determined that the fighting strength of the strange 2-headed bird from earlier was absolutely not inferior to his own. If that arrow had been aimed at him, then he would have. Thinking of this, the bald old man shuddered and felt a chill run down his spine. Roar! Roar! Seeing that a divine Emperor Realm spirit beast had been killed, the rest of the spirit beasts were enraged and roared. At least a dozen divine Emperor Realm wild beasts rushed towards Lu Ming's group, leaving the bald old man and the others to the side. Let's fight, let's fight. It's best if both sides are injured so that we can take the opportunity to rush out. The bald old man and the others viciously thought. More than 10 divine Emperor Realm spirit beasts attacked at the same time. Their power was terrifying. A huge explosion occurred in the void. Terrifying attacks came from all directions, attacking Lu Ming, Ling Yue and Xueqi. You're courting death. The eyes of Lu Ming and the other 2 were filled with coldness as they attacked at the same time. Lu Ming activated the battle esoteric art and increased his combat power by 5 times. He dashed toward the few divine Emperor Realm soul beasts and punched continuously with both fists. The terrifying fist force tore through the void and blasted toward the few soul beasts. The spirit beasts' attacks were torn apart by Lu Ming's fist energy. The fist energy didn't stop and bombarded the spirit beasts. The spirit beasts cried out in pain as their bodies were penetrated by the fist energy. They were torn apart and died on the spot. Lu Ming grabbed a few soul jades in his hand. On the other side, Ling Yue shot a few arrows and killed a few divine Emperor Realm spirit beasts. As for Xueqi, he easily killed a few divine Emperor Realm spirit beasts. More than a dozen God King soul beasts were killed in an instant. The bald old man and the others' eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Their mouths were opened so wide that they could swallow a few goose eggs. Shock, disbelief, disbelief. It was written all over their faces. Those were divine Emperor Realm spirit beasts. How could they be killed so easily? It was as easy as slaughtering a chicken. They thought that they were dreaming. Monsters. These 3 people were all peerless monsters. They were all monsters. Then they felt a chill in their hearts, and chills ran down their spines. Previously, they actually wanted to rob these 3 monsters and kill them? They were courting death. They were completely courting death. The surrounding spirit beasts were terrified when they saw more than 10 divine Emperor Realm spirit beasts being killed. There was an uproar. Roar, roar. After that, the remaining soul beasts roared. Then, the remaining soul beasts all turned around and ran away. They were actually running away. These spirit beasts were also very intelligent. They knew that they were no match for Lu Ming and the others, so they naturally retreated. In an instant, all the spirit beasts ran away. Go quickly! Seeing that the desolate beasts had retreated, the bald old man and the others didn't dare to stay any longer. They immediately wanted to sneak away. Where are you going? Ling Yuwei's face was gloomy as her cold voice sounded. The bald old man and the others immediately shivered and stopped. They didn't dare to move. What a joke. They had clearly seen Lu Ming and the others' methods. Even if they escaped, they wouldn't be able to escape. There was only death. Their faces were extremely ugly. They looked at Lu Ming and the other two with fear. Sirs, we were blind just now. Please forgive us, sirs. The bald old man squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying. He bowed to Lu Ming and the other two. You wanted to kill us just now, and now you want us to spare you? Aren't you too naive? Ling Yuwei said coldly. She was about to attack and kill these people. Wait a minute. Lu Ming called out. Ling Yuwei stopped and looked at Lu Ming with some doubt. Could it be that Lu Ming's heart softened and he wanted to let these people go? This person can be killed, but the others can stay. They can help us scout the way. Lu Ming explained. Ling Yuwei and Xiao Wuji's eyes lit up. That's right, if they had to search by themselves, how long would it take? If they found more people to search together, it would be much faster. As for the bald old man, he was the main culprit. Naturally, he deserved to die and couldn't be let go. Hearing Lu Ming's words, the others were overjoyed and quickly distanced themselves from the bald old man. The bald old man's face was extremely ugly. At this moment, his heart was filled with regret. If he had known that Lu Ming and the other two were so monstrous, he definitely wouldn't have provoked Lu Ming and the other two. However, there was no medicine for regret. Regret was already useless. However, he was absolutely unwilling to die obediently. A trace of viciousness flashed across the bald old man's eyes. He suddenly rushed in a direction. It was the direction of his group. In the blink of an eye, he had rushed into the group of people. He grabbed a few people with both hands and threw them towards Lu Ming and the other two. As for himself, he pushed his speed to the limit and rushed in a direction. You're courting death, Lu Ming said coldly. Using the Great God Wind technique, he caught up to the bald old man in a flash. With another flash, he had already appeared in front of the bald old man. Ah! The bald old man cried out in fright. Then, he attacked with all his might. A divine light palm print blasted towards Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch. The bald elder's divine light giant handprint, which he had used all his strength to attack, collapsed immediately. The fist force did not stop and bombarded the elder's body. The bald elder screamed miserably and his body was torn into pieces. Even his soul exploded. Is this the difference? Just an 8th level divine lord. What kind of monster is this? This was the bald old man's last thought. Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 3848. After Lu Ming killed the bald old man in one move, the remaining people didn't dare to move. Their faces were pale with fright. The moment they made a move, the gap between them was even more obvious. Lu Ming and the other two were too monstrous. They looked at Lu Ming and the other two in horror, waiting helplessly for their fate to befall them. They didn't know how Lu Ming and the other two would deal with them. Now, there's something I need you to do. Lu Ming glanced at the crowd and said in an unquestionable tone. Just give us the order. We will never refuse. Yes, just give us the order. We will definitely do it properly. Those people nodded and bowed, promising that they couldn't wait to dig out their hearts for Lu Ming to see. At the moment of life and death, how could they refuse? No matter what conditions Lu Ming set, they had to grit their teeth and agree. I want you to help me find some special places in the evil spirit realm. For example, some special buildings, some special places, Lu Ming instructed. Okay, we promise to complete the task. Those people didn't expect Lu Ming to ask them to do something so simple. They quickly nodded, afraid that they would be a step slower and cause Lu Ming to be unhappy. Of course, before you go, there's one more step. Following which, Lu Ming waved his fingers and many runes were formed. They then flew toward these people. These people were shocked and wanted to dodge, but they didn't dare. They could only watch as the runes flew into their bodies and disappeared. This is a soul-severing restriction. If you dare to escape, with a thought, your souls will be destroyed and you will die without a burial place. Alright, you can go. If there's any news, send me a message. Lu Ming waved his hand casually. Those people sighed in their hearts and could only help Lu Ming and the others. Originally, some of them really had that thought. After leaving Lu Ming and the others, they would run away. But now they didn't dare to. Everyone cupped their fists and turned into rays of light, leaving this place. Is that rune really a soul-severing restriction? Why do I look so simple? Ling Yue asked curiously. She had a very deep understanding of the Tao of restriction runes, so she naturally saw something. It's fake. What soul-severing restriction? It's just to scare them. Lu Ming smiled. Brother Mu's wisdom is admirable. Xiao Wuji Dao. It's just a small trick. However, we can still use this trick to find more people to help us. Lu Ming said. That's right. At least it's faster than the three of us searching. Ling Yue and Xiao Wuji naturally agreed. After that they began to move. As long as they encountered people who came in to hunt soul beasts, they would immediately take them down. They pretended to set up restrictions so that these people could help them find a special building or location. Not long after, they found more than 200 people to help them search. With more than 200 people scattered in all directions, their efficiency was naturally much faster than the three of them. Not long after, they received news that they had made a discovery. They rushed over according to the news and found a dilapidated palace. They went in and searched, but found nothing. After that, more news came, and they all made some discoveries. However, when Lu Ming and the others went to investigate, they found nothing. This made the three of them wonder if this middle world was a treasure land left behind by the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. There's news again. It's in the north. Lu Ming received another piece of news. Let's go take a look. The three of them were naturally unwilling to give up so easily, and flew towards the north. The three of them were extremely fast. Their bodies were engraved with teleportation arrays, and they flew through the air. In a few flashes, they had crossed a distance of hundreds of millions of miles. A majestic mountain appeared in front of them. At the foot of the mountain, there was an ancient bluestone road. At the end of the ancient road was a huge stone door that led to the belly of the mountain. As soon as they arrived, Lu Ming and the others immediately sensed something. To be precise, it was their life spirit origin stone fragments that had sensed something. They were trembling slightly and radiating light. It's here, it's here. This place must be related to the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. The stone spirit of the Life Spirit origin stone fragments cried out excitedly. Ling Yue and Xiao Wuji's eyes also lit up. Obviously, they had all sensed it at the same time. That's right, it's here. This world is indeed a treasure land left behind by the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. There must be treasures in this mountain, and even clues to the 9 life spirit holes. Xiao Wuji's eyes lit up. Let's go in. Ling Yue's eyes also flickered. The three of them flew forward and arrived in front of the ancient bluestone road, intending to pass through it. Pass. Suddenly, densely packed runes appeared on the ground. A large array emerged and shrouded Lu Ming and the other two. Ha ha ha, I've been waiting here for 30 million years. I've finally arrived. A carefree laugh rang out, and then a figure appeared in the air. It was a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 40s. He was tall and sturdy, and his eyes shone brightly. A powerful aura spread out from this person's body. It was as deep as the sea, unfathomable. Lu Ming, Ling Yue, and Xiao Wuji's expressions changed drastically. There was actually someone here. Peng Peng, the middle-aged man, walked in the air, and every step he took caused the void to tremble. The great array below also responded to the middle-aged man's steps, and the light became even brighter. Swoosh! Ling Yue directly drew her bow and shot out an arrow, wanting to break through the great array. However, the great array lit up, and layers of divine light enveloped the arrow. The arrow disappeared without a trace, like mud sinking into the sea. Don't waste your time. I have to admit that your attack power is very strong, but in my great array, you won't be able to come out. The middle-aged man sneered. This great array was set up? Ling Yue asked. I already said that it's my great array. The middle-aged man said. Who is it? Lu Ming asked. There's no harm in telling you. I was the one who created the Lingheng sect. The middle-aged man smiled. It's the sect master of the Lingheng sect? Ling Yue exclaimed. She didn't expect the other party to be the sect master of the Lingheng sect. Where did the fragments of the life spirit origin stone on me come from? Lu Ming continued to ask. That's right, this middle-aged man also had fragments of the life spirit origin stone on him. Lu Ming and the other two had sensed this when the middle-aged man appeared. This was also what made them even more shocked. Here, a middle-aged man suddenly ran out and set up a great array to trap them. Moreover, he actually had fragments of the life spirit origin stone on him. This seemed to be very complicated. The fragments of the life spirit origin stone on me were naturally obtained by me. The middle-aged man, who was also the sect master of the Lingheng sect, said with a faint smile. Chapter 3849. You got it yourself? As far as I know, the life spirit origin stone fragment will only choose young geniuses. Ling Yue said. The life spirit origin stone fragment would only choose young geniuses, and those monstrous geniuses at that. Whether it was Lu Ming, Ling Yue, Xiao Wuji, or the previous Xueming and Murong Qiu Shui, they were all top geniuses of the universe. Why would the life spirit origin stone fragment choose such an old person? Everyone has a time when they are young. The sect master of the Lingheng sect said indifferently. Lu Ming, Ling Yue, and Xiao Wuji were shocked. These words reminded them that they had overlooked a problem. Yes, the life spirit origin stone fragment would choose a young monster, but who made the rule that it was a monster of this era? A monster of the previous era was also fine. Perhaps, some of the life spirit origin stone fragments had already appeared and were chosen by the monstrous geniuses from a long time ago. And those monstrous geniuses were no longer young. It was normal for them to become middle-aged and old. For example, the sect master of the Lingheng sect in front of them might have been a monstrous genius when he was young, which was why he obtained the life spirit origin stone fragment. The hearts of Lu Ming and the other two sank. If it was that kind of monstrous genius, then what realm would his cultivation have reached after so many years? It wasn't something they could fight against, right? Ha ha ha, you believe me just because I said that? Seeing your expressions, it's really laughable. The sect master of the Lingheng sect laughed loudly. After a while he said, you're right. The life spirit origin stone fragment will only choose monstrous geniuses, but I'm not. The life spirit origin stone fragment on me was snatched from a young genius back then. I spent a lot of effort and finally controlled that life spirit origin stone fragment and found out the secret of this place being the treasure land of the life spirit heavenly court. Therefore, 30 million years ago, I established the Lingheng sect here and controlled this world. Unfortunately, this mountain is a treasure land left behind by the Life Soul Heavenly Court. I can't enter with just a piece of the Life Soul Origin Stone fragment. Therefore, I set up a formation here and waited here for the owner of the Life Soul fragment to come. I've been waiting for 30 million years. Finally there are 3 of them. Ha ha ha, I can finally enter the treasure land of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. The treasures in the treasure land of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court are mine. There are even 9 Life Spirit palaces. The sect master of the Lingheng sect laughed loudly. The more he laughed, the more excited he became. The more he laughed, the more his eyes shone. 3 of them came at once, which was really out of his expectations. Lu Ming, Ling Yue, and Xiao Wuji's faces were incomparably gloomy. The doubts in their hearts were finally answered. They finally knew why a force would occupy a remote place like the Sand Layer Starfield. It was deliberately created by the sect master of the Lingheng sect. His goal was to control the evil spirit world in his hands. In the past, everyone thought that the Lingheng sect was doing it for the soul jade of the evil spirit world. Now Lu Ming and the others understood that the enemy was doing it for the treasure land left behind by the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. The other party had established the Lingheng sect here and occupied the evil spirit world. The sect master of the Lingheng sect had long found this mountain, but unfortunately, he couldn't enter. That was why he had set up a formation here and waited here. As for recruiting people to hunt soul beasts in the evil spirit world every once in a while, it seemed that it was all a trap. The goal was to attract the controller of the Life Soul Origin Stone fragment. With the control of the Life Soul Origin Stone fragment, if one wanted to find the treasure land of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, they would definitely sneak into the evil spirit world and then search for the treasure land of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, just like Lu Ming and the others. The sect master of the Lingheng sect had planned everything and waited here for the rabbit. As for Lu Ming and the others, they had unknowingly been tricked. This kind of guy who had lived for a long time had an extraordinary mind and was very terrifying. The reason why I told you is so that you can die with understanding. Now, hand over the life soul origin stone fragment on your body and I can give you a quick death. The sect master of the Lingheng sect said loudly. He was very confident. He had the right to be confident. He could already tell that Lu Ming and the other two were at the quasi-emperor realm at the highest. As for him, he was already at the 6th level of the divine emperor realm. No matter how monstrous Lu Ming and the other two were, they were no match for him. Looks like there's going to be a tough battle today. Xueqi whispered. Let's attack together and break this formation first. Ling Yue said. The three of them nodded and transmitted their voices to each other, reaching a consensus. Swoosh. The three of them attacked at the same time, attacking towards the left. In an instant, Lu Ming activated the battle character art, increasing his battle strength by 5 times. At the same time, he used the Great Divine Wind technique. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming used his full strength and threw a punch. A terrifying fist chi moved forwards, bringing with it a terrifying hurricane. The sky kept exploding. Everything was about to collapse, but the deployment spell was dazzling and dazzling. Godly lights moved towards Lu Ming's punch. Boom boom boom. The sound of an explosion reverberated through the sky. Lu Ming's fist force was forcefully neutralized. At the same time, Ling Yue and Xueqi also attacked, using their full strength. Even a cultivator of the 2nd godly emperor realm would be killed, but it was useless. Their attacks were blocked by the deployment spell. Powerful, truly powerful. I have to say that the three of you are able to possess such combat strength at such a cultivation level. It really frightens me. However, the three of you are still too weak. You won't be able to walk out of my great formation. Today, your fate has already been decided. Smiled the patriarch of the Lingheng sect coldly. His body was glowing and his godly strength was surging. He controlled the deployment spell. Attack! Shouted Ling Yue. Behind her, a gigantic tree appeared. Green lights penetrated into her body. She was holding a gigantic bow. Her strength condensed and turned into a green arrow. Swoosh! The green arrow was 10 meters long. It pierced through the sky and left a terrifying mark. Great godly wind technique, great destruction technique. Lu Ming used his full strength and threw a punch. That punch contained the strength of the great godly wind technique and the great destruction technique. 2 types of ancient secret techniques converged, forming a destructive power that wrapped around the emerald green arrow and shot forward. Azura's light. Xueqi transformed into his 3-headed, 6-armed form. A vertical eye opened between the eyebrows of each of his 3 heads. Each vertical eye emitted a jet black light. The 3 rays of light merged into one and wrapped around the emerald green arrow. The attacks of the 3 gathered together and collided with the godly light formed by the formation. Boom boom boom. Rumbling sounds spread in all directions. The arrow was like a hot knife cutting through butter. It kept breaking the deployment spell's strength. The patriarch of the Lingheng sect's expression suddenly changed. Lu Ming and the other two's attacks were beyond his expectations. How terrifying. They haven't even broken through to the godly emperor realm, but they're already so terrifying. We can't let them go. Crush them, shouted the patriarch of the Lingheng sect furiously. He pressed his hands down. Chapter 3850. The patriarch of the Lingheng sect pressed his hands down, and a vast amount of godly strength poured into the deployment spell. The deployment spell's godly light became even more vast and boundless. It kept attacking Lu Ming and the other two. Lu Ming and the other two's attacks kept shaking. Their energy was being consumed again and again. Again! Shouted Ling Yue. She spat out a mouthful of blood on the bow in her hand. The bow released a terrifying wave of energy, and a blood-red, emerald arrow condensed in the air. Ball! Lu Ming's heart shook, and he called Ball to help. Ball moved rapidly and turned into an armor, covering Lu Ming's body. At the same time, a silver spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Bzzz. The spear shook, and a dazzling silver light shot out. Behind Xueqi, a 99-headed Azura king with 999 arms appeared. Azura lights emerged from the 99 heads' foreheads. This time, the attacks were even more terrifying. Especially Ball's silver spear. It was even more terrifying. When Ball attacked with his full strength, he could kill cultivators of the fourth godly emperor layer. This time, the three people's attacks were unstoppable. They kept breaking the deployment spell's godly light, and the deployment spell's godly light kept exploding. In the end, a tunnel appeared. "Let's go!" Lu Ming shouted loudly. His body transformed into a beam of light and he dashed through the passageway, leaving the range of the array. Ling Yue and Xiao Wuji's speed was also very fast. They also turned into streaks of light. With a flash, they also left the range of the formation and appeared outside the formation. The two of them glanced at Lu Ming. They were astonished. They hadn't thought that Lu Ming would have such a trump card. Boom! At that moment, a terrifying pressure pressed down on Lu Ming and the other two. Lu Ming and the other two moved back to block the pressure. It was the patriarch of the Ling Hang sect. He appeared in the sky above Lu Ming and the other two, releasing a monstrous pressure. What a powerful metallic creature! The sect leader of the Ling Hang sect stared at Qiu on Lu Ming's body. A hint of shock and greed flashed across his eyes. "Humph, so what if you can break the formation? Do you think you can escape from me?" The sect master of the Ling Hang sect sneered. He was still very confident. With his strength, he could control the entire situation. "All of you kneel." The sect master of the Ling Hang sect struck out with his palm. A gigantic palm print pressed down on Lu Ming and the other two like a majestic mountain. Rumble! The palm pressed down, shattering the void. The scene was shocking. Lu Ming and the other two tried their best to resist, but they were unable to do so. As the palm struck down, the three of them retreated. Lu Ming was a little better off. With Qiu's armor protecting him, he only felt his blood and qi churning as a trace of blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. However, Ling Yue and Xiao Wuji had also suffered heavy injuries and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. After all, the difference between them and the sect master of the Spirit Hang sect was too great. The other party had only casually struck them with a palm and they had suffered heavy injuries. If he used his full strength, he would definitely be able to turn them into ashes. In front of absolute strength, no matter how talented you are, you won't be able to withstand a single blow. Obediently hand over your life soul origin stone fragments. Also, hand over the physique secret techniques that you cultivate and the 3,000 ancient secret techniques. The sect master of the Ling Hang sect said, the greed in his eyes becoming even stronger. The reason why he didn't kill Lu Ming and the other two immediately was because he had taken a fancy to the various secret techniques and treasures that the three of them possessed. Especially Lu Ming, who the sect master of the Ling Hang sect paid the most attention to. He was merely an 8th-level divine lord, but his combat strength was heaven-defying. He was completely on the same level as Ling Yue and Xiao Wuji. Moreover, he had mastered 2 of the 3,000 ancient secret techniques. He had to obtain them. Although the 3,000 ancient secret techniques were said to be very difficult to cultivate, how would he know if he hadn't cultivated them before? Moreover, even if he couldn't cultivate them himself, some people would be interested and sell them for a sky-high price. This was the reason why he didn't use his full strength. Lu Ming's face darkened as he quickly thought of a countermeasure. The sect master of the Ling Hang sect was too strong. Even with Qiu's help, he was definitely not the other party's match. If the other party attacked, he and Qiu would both die. Right now, he only had 2 trump cards. One was the Gale Pearl. The Gale Pearl contained a terrifying gale. With his current comprehension of the Great Divine Wind technique, he could definitely draw out a portion of the gale. However, he wasn't sure how strong it was and whether he could deal with the sect master of the Ling Hang sect. The other was to take the risk to open the purple copper coffin. He originally didn't want to expose too much in front of Ling Yue and Xiao Wuji. After all, he didn't trust Ling Yue and Xiao Wuji very much. He needed to keep a trump card. But now that he was facing a life-and-death crisis, he couldn't care less about this. He had to deal with the sect master of the Ling Hang sect first. Do you really think that we're done for? Just as Lu Ming was hesitating, a cold voice sounded. It came from Ling Yue. At this moment, the huge warbow in Ling Yue's hand disappeared. Replacing it was a small warbow. This warbow wasn't big. It was only a meter long and looked very old. The most eye-catching thing was that there was a pool of blood on it. This bloodstain looked fresh, as if it had just been sprinkled with fresh blood. However, there was a terrifying aura emanating from it. Lu Ming and Xiao Wuji both had grave expressions on their faces. The blood on this warbow was definitely left on it by a terrifying existence. I'll let you have a taste of the power of the Elven King's bow. Ling Yue opened her mouth and then suddenly pulled the bowstring. Wang! In an instant, it was as if the entire world was shaking. Then, it was as if all the energy in the world was gathering towards the warbow. A bloody arrow condensed and aimed at the sect master of the Linghang sect. This is... The sect master of the Linghang sect's pupils suddenly constricted. He felt all the hair on his body stand on end. He felt a great terror enveloping him. Retreat! Retreat! The sect master of the Linghang sect retreated without hesitation. Swoosh! Ling Yue let go of her hand, and the bloody arrow flew out. Fast, it was really too fast. It was so fast that the sect master of the Linghang sect didn't have time to dodge. In an instant, the arrow appeared in front of the sect master of the Linghang sect. The sect master of the Linghang sect roared. His cultivation of the 6th level of the Divine Emperor realm completely erupted. Terrifying divine power erupted from the sect master of the Linghang sect like an avalanche. It was as if a sun had exploded. The entire medium-class world shook violently. Eternal Heaven Finger. The sect master of the Linghang sect pointed out a finger. A gray finger was incomparably huge. It pointed forward and collided with the arrow shot by Ling Yue. An explosion that seemed to shake the heavens and earth rang out. Terrifying energy swept out in all directions. Bang! In the end, the finger that the sect master of the Linghang sect attacked with was actually pierced through by the arrow. The terrifying arrow didn't stop and continued to shoot forward. In the next moment, blood splattered in all directions. The sect master of the Linghang sect's body was pierced through by the arrow. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.